it's almost double tied itself like this. Just pick it off from there, maybe.
I was listening to your beat thing.
Uh-huh.
And I'm gonna go to Lucy here, so I took my headphones off and I paused. I hit the pause on my computer. What do you want, Kitty? What do you want?
Still slow sounded. Love it. You gotta double that shit. Yep. I'll just practice guitar. Fighters. You guys are listening to the Old Man Learn Guitar. Oh, hey, welcome, Richard. Good to see you. Peace and respect, sir. Thanks for stopping by. Links up there for StreamYard, I believe. If interested. I'm just chilling. Practicing guitar. Right on. Let me stop this guy here. Okay. Welcome, sir.
Peace and respect. How you doing this morning?
Oh, pretty good. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Right on.
Wish people could show more love.
Right.
Okay, okay. So like I go by your channel because you're live, and I think I really love V, but I hate this content.
Yeah, I know. It just
so here's
the
what I'm
music
gonna
thing
do.
is it's pretty
I'm
awful.
gonna let it
sometimes.
play in the background. I'm gonna like it, right? I'm gonna pretend to share, at least pretend to share it because I like V, right?
Right on.
And I'm gonna mute the darn. I'm gonna mute the darn thing and do something else. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna let his thing play. No, they can't even do that. I tried like at and starting people's names, and I had to type all of it out. Why did I have to type all of it out? Because they left. Why? Why they leave your stream?
Boring.
Don't they love you? Well, even if I don't understand what you're doing, and I don't, it seems like you're like making tracks, or maybe working on making tracks or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to do like my like everything I put out there. All the drum beats are ones that I don't use like drum loops. I do all the drum beats myself, and I put all the guitar. Lately, I put all the guitar, bass, and keyboard myself for the last like 4 or 5. So I'm kind of like learning it as I do it, and I can see how it could be kind of off-putting or boring when I do stuff like that.
Well, it's just difficult to understand it when it's not a finished piece, But you've got a goal in your head, I'm sure.
Yeah, I thought maybe if I do this, I could do like a little speed-up video of making it while the finished product plays. Well, the video of me making it fast forwards itself throughout the video. Might be kind of cool. That's what I was thinking with doing with the Hangout video. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
So it shows like even how to do it. If they could push that button and that one, they'll do the exact same thing I did for the drum beats. Kind of like a little almost tutorial.
Right on.
In a weird way. Visual, yeah. So I don't really have subject matter. I get bored and I like to talk about different things, but I don't have like one thing I have a lot of things I have gripes about, but I don't have anything else I want to huh?
Let's hear a gripe. Or I've got a suggestion for a gripe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, people who won't accept the obvious reality. That just bugs the ever-living crap out of me.
Mainly religious, right?
Well, religious, irreligious, it doesn't matter. Just anything that doesn't make sense in reality, and people accept it. And okay, so here we are in Pride Month. Can I speak about this on your channel?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, anything you like.
Okay, here we are in Pride Month,
Mhm.
where you are woke and you are acceptable if you accept fictions that are obviously not true.
Mhm. Yep.
Now, I can accept there's this fiction, right? I can
Mhm.
accept that. That's fine. But if you insist on me believing the fiction, I'm just like, I don't know why you hate me so much.
Mhm.
Like, what the
Yeah,
hell
it's
did I do to you?
right. It's almost like we were talking about. It's almost like children. You know, they pretend and they play, and it's almost maybe like a childlike. I don't know how to say, it, but I know what you're talking about. It's kind of weird.
Oh gosh,
Superstitions and Santa
yeah, all that,
Clauses.
all that
Yeah.
stuff.
My
I
family's
I
very
heard somebody.
superstitious.
Are they?
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the way that my good chunk of my family, okay,
Mm.
3 out of 5 remaining brothers and sisters are religious people.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
and I try to help them make sense of what they see in reality. You know, I try to talk to them about it,
Yeah.
but the other two are probably accepting things that are obviously not true just as much. It's just not religion. It's other
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
Like I have a
Yeah.
sibling who is woke. Oh
Oh yeah.
gosh, that kills me.
Mm. I can
Like
imagine. Yeah.
like woke means accepting things as reality that aren't. That's what
Hmm.
woke means to me.
Yeah. Calling something what it's not. Well, obviously, you see what it is. It
Right.
just yeah. Yep. It's like putting a saddle on a pig and a bridle on it doesn't call it a horse. Giddy up! Giddy up!
Yeah, good luck.
Right.
And your feet are going to drag the ground. It's just not going to work out, really.
Let's try this again.
Thank you. Mhm.
What's the lady's name?
Oh, Catherine. You can go by Cat.
Catherine or Cat. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what I thought, but I didn't want to say something wrong.
Oh, that'd be all right. Yeah, she's handed me my
So what is
breakfast.
this?
Hmm?
Aw, I love when people love and take care of each other. I think that's just amazing. There's not enough of that going on. There should be
Very
more
true.
of it.
Yeah, very true.
Oh gosh. I mean, I could get into the wealth of the world and want,
Mm.
and no one should be starving to death, but that's
Right.
beside the point.
Yeah, I know. I'm right in the same boat. It just doesn't make it. I mean, it makes sense in animal nature, but we call ourselves human, and we don't show what human is supposed to represent. Humanity.
Yeah.
It's sad.
And it's not just the irreligious; it's the religious as well.
Hmm.
Um, you can be informed about something and know that it's horrible, and people will just do nothing about it. Even people that could,
Mm.
it's just terrible. Very few people will actually do something.
Yeah.
I mean, as a percentage, it's a large number of people, but it's a small percentage. Nerdy
Hmm.
rodent writes, "Speak for
Oh.
yourself, human."
Hey, nerdy.
I mean, being a rodent and all.
Right. Yeah. There's a song about that. Bend the two of us.
Rat life matters. Um, gosh.
Right. Thanks for stopping by, nerdy.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I heard a guy on another channel, and he said the following. He
Mm.
said that ethno nationalists are
Mm.
fundamentally solipsists, and he calls
Hmm.
himself pill eater. Like, oh, I've taken the woke pills. I'm now aware of the reality. I'm smarter than the rest of the people.
Mm.
But let's look at that claim for just a second.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so an ethno nationalist says something like, I want the other ethnic groups to leave my ethnic group alone. Does that
Mm.
make sense?
Hmm.
Okay, so that's what that is. Like the
Okay.
the ethnic group is the nation. Okay?
Hmm.
All right. And traditionally when we didn't have good transportation across the planet, this was already naturally true, of course. All right.
Hmm.
But he says that they're basically solipsists, and he accuses them of being solipsists, and they get very upset. And I thought, you're an idiot.
Mm.
Here's why you're an idiot as soon as you say that.
Mm.
See, a solipsist says, I'm the only brain, or I'm an expression of the only brain,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys are all figments of my imagination or other instantiations of the only brain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's what it's saying. And since we're all collectively one brain, if that
Mm-hmm.
one brain dies, we all go away.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's like saying my experience is the only valid experience. All the rest of the experiences are just kind of made up. That's solipsism.
Yeah.
Okay. So to say an ethno-nationalist solipsist is to say, stay away from me, things that don't exist.
Okay.
What the hell does that mean? Stay
Right. That's
away
like
from
what's
me,
this little
things that don't exist. What the
this
hell?
is conundrum there.
Like how does this person think that they think if they're going to make a statement like that?
Mm-hmm. Just stop. Yeah, just almost stopping themselves.
So it's obvious people are getting upset with him because
Mm-hmm.
they are deeply strawmanning the position, and not because he's right. And how can a person be so blind as to not see the huge, evident, obvious elephant in the room in such a statement? Like one idea is defeating of the other.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what people call thinking.
Ah. Okay.
I'm just blown away. I just can't believe it. Are we that confused? I mean,
Yeah,
really?
I'm wondering like what path, the mind would take to get to that conclusion.
I don't know. I can't find
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to think like what type of
Like, walk me down the logic of that.
yeah, right. It's like running to a stop sign and keep going. I don't know.
Did you watch the debate? I was on Brojo's channel for the debate. I didn't.
I did. I was on the
see
side.
it.
Yeah, I was on the
I
side chat.
thought so. Yeah, but I don't remember seeing you in the panel, but I thought, yeah.
I'm not that politically like, I
Me
guess,
either.
knowledgeable of the
Best.
names and I get the
I
gist
think
of it in the
that's best,
basics.
actually. Yeah.
Sorry?
I think that's best. I mean,
Mhm.
okay, so if media, the word actually comes from the ancient Near East, a land of people who argue
Media
or present an argument. That's what it means.
Okay.
So media, the derivative word that we use in English,
Hmm.
means to present an argument. Well, it's
Okay.
obviously what media is, right?
Hmm.
That's what they're doing. They're presenting a point of view,
Yeah,
and that's just fine. But the problem is that points of view are biased. So that's
definitely.
why a lot of newscasts will go, okay, unbiased reporting.
Mhm.
That's great, but it's impossible. I don't believe you. It's not unbiased.
It definitely is. Like I was watching the left and the right. I like to check out the extremes on both sides of the channels. And what they're just showcasing is on the right, when Biden looks down and looks back up and looks around, they freeze it when he looks down and they say he's falling asleep. That's not true at all. I didn't see him fall asleep, but they were saying that. And on the other side, they just keep showcasing. I did not have sex with the porn stars. They're making fun of that like crazy. That's an obvious lie.
Yeah.
So they're showcasing the lies on one side heavily, and on the other side, just showcasing the instability of Biden.
Right.
And it's sad because they're not giving the context of what's going on, what's happening. They're just talking trash. There's nothing about anything. Actually, the debate itself was nothing because they were saying, I'm going to do this and that, but not how or when or what's going to implement it. It was just I think I put it aside chat. It was like two old men arguing over who makes a better oatmeal, but they both forgot the raisins.
I remember reading that. That's pretty good. Both forgot the raisins. I know a joke on that. This woman, old man, old woman, and she says to him, I think you need to go to the doctor because I say things all the time and you forget them. And he says, I don't forget things you say. She says, well, you're forgetting them. That's why you don't know you're forgetting them. And he says, well, okay, that's a good argument. It's a good argument. So they go to the doctor together and see about it and test him and finds out that it's true of him, you know? So the doctor makes a suggestion. He says, okay, so what's going on here is your short-term memory is not becoming long-term memory easily enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to develop a habit in you where you have more time to review a thing so that it becomes long-term memory. And they both, all three, agree that sounds like a great idea. So, you know, they buy him a notepad and a pen. And what he does is, as things are said, he writes them down. And then she encourages him to develop a habit of, before short-term memory is exhausted, to review what just happened until it becomes long-term memory. It's a great plan, right? So you know, they're back home, and he's been doing this for a few weeks, but he decides that some things are just not important enough to commit to long-term memory. You know, so he starts arguing with his wife. He says, look, honey, I just don't need to write down absolutely everything that happens. Some things are just not that important, you know, and it's kind of okay if I don't remember them. Or, you know, some things are just so obvious and evident, I don't need to write them down because they're already habits. So she says, well, I don't know about all that, and I'm not sure how that'll work out. So she says, one day she says, can you go to the kitchen and just get me a little cup of tea? And he goes, yeah, sure. And she goes, don't you think you want to write that down? He says, how many times have I made tea for you? She says, I don't know, thousands. He goes, exactly. Okay, I don't need to write down cup of tea.
Oh, I went
Okay.
back in the thing. It's funny.
What was that? There was an addition.
Oh, I'm sorry. Cat said. What was that, Cat?
When I set the phone down to get the cat, I went back to the loop. It was funny because he stepped on all your stuff and messed it up.
Oh, you
so I
heard
was
it?
like, what happened?
Oh, okay.
It sounds like you're not talking about it. But
Okay, she was listening to the chat on that. It was delayed. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So he says, I'm not writing it down. He goes into the kitchen, and, you know, pots and pans and water running and stove and clinging around and all kinds of noise coming from there. And like 20 minutes later, he emerges from the kitchen with this breakfast tray with, you know, coffee, donuts, scrambled eggs, sausage, bacon. Got all this stuff, right? And he sets it down in front of her, and she says, I knew it. He goes, what? She goes, I knew it. You should have written it down. He said, I should have written what down? You should have written down what I'd said. He said, I didn't need to. Look how it's beautiful. Look at all this. And she says, you forgot the ketchup.
Wow.
dear, he's going on the outside. You can't go up there, Lucifer.
Like a woman, huh?
Hey, the point is, both their memories are destroyed. They just didn't notice it about her.
Right, because she asked for tea, brought back everything. She still expected to catch up.
And that's what the debate last night reminded me of.
Right, yeah.
It's just like, oh man, this is just a mess.
Yeah, it was pretty sad for sure.
And you know, it's true that we kind of made fun of Ronald Reagan for not being sharp enough.
Yeah.
And not saying smart enough things, and then and he was kind of laughed at a little bit. Oh, great, an actor. Like actors are smart. And we're gonna have an actor as president. Ha ha ha. You know? And then we reviewed it last night, a little bit of the things Ronald Reagan said just off the cuff. And man, he was so much more collected than either one of these two. And we thought that was slumming it at the time.
Right, yeah. I mean, these guys are making George Bush Jr. look like a genius. It's
I'm telling you, man. It's just flipping sick. George Bush Jr. not a genius. Not right. No. not even average, I think. Gosh, it's just the present state of affairs is absolutely embarrassing. But I
It
can't
is, yeah.
see. But okay, but I'm not so exceptional. You're not so exceptional. Not to hurt your feelers, but
Oh,
you're
not
not
at all.
so exceptional that you and I could be the only people noticing this. How
Right.
ridiculous it is.
Right.
Now, on average, people get into offices, governmental offices, because they're above average. So I have to be able to say something like, the team that supports Biden is better than average intelligence. That's just obviously true.
Right.
The team that supports Trump is better than average intelligence. So why am I hearing stupid stuff? Could that be an accident? Now
Makes
I
you
have
wonder
to ask
what.
the question, why do they want
Oh,
me
shit, I'm sorry. The cat's jumping on stuff. Sorry about that. The cat jumping on the keyboard. I'm sorry.
cat on the organ? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a cat organ. Perhaps you can make some stitches from that later, some stitching.
Right.
Since we're dealing with cat organs.
Electric cracker.
That's what I would do with cats. I have no use for them whatsoever. Make them into a nice sturdy thread that eventually rots.
With this one, it's not a bad idea.
So here's the process of cleaning out the intestinal tract, and especially the urinary tract, to use it for stitching. So where the heck was I? Where the heck were we? What was going on there?
We're talking
Or
about the presidency and the just the idiocy of it all, and the handlers
Yeah, the
being above
handlers.
intelligence of the
Precisely, the handlers. Like Joe's tie is crooked, and the thickness of the tie on Trump was tied in a double Windsor when it should have been a single Windsor, because it just looked ridiculously fat. It was just stupid
Right.
looking.
Yeah.
Like, who the hell did that? Okay, now why do they want me to think that our candidates for presidency are idiots? After all, you could put an earpiece in my ear and I repeat what a team has decided should be the perfect response in order to get me elected. And all I have to do is say what they say in my earpiece. That's all I've got to do. And I can't do that.
Yeah, it's like almost children in a fight mode.
What
They don't
was
listen to their parents very much.
the guy behind the curtain talking in Biden's ear used a word, and I looked up the definition of it last night. I don't have it up there in my searches anymore, but okay, it was kind of a long word, and it carried a lot of meaning. He totally fumbled the word, tried 3 times to say it, could not say it.
Oh,
Like,
is that?
he can't even repeat what he heard.
Yeah, I noticed that. And that
That
I
is
think of the. I know you're talking
freaking
about that
sad.
one spot where he was like,
Yeah. I don't remember what the word was, but that's beside the point. I mean, I'll grant that it was a 3-syllable word. I'll grant that. Maybe 4. I can't remember.
one of them 10-cent
Kind of a
words.
bigger word. And it was one of those words you don't use very much, you know?
Yeah.
But he just could not say the word. And I thought, wow, that's disappointing. Now, I know from what I know of Biden, that wasn't a word he normally uses, you know? Which is
Yeah.
fine. I understand there's earpieces and there's support teams, and I understand all that. But the man just could not say the word that he just heard.
That's troubling.
Right. That means he's getting stuck in his own brain so much that he can't even just play what was recorded. He can't even do that.
Yeah, that's like. I mean, I just see him, and the first thing that comes in my head is senile. Just at that age, he's just. Yeah, his mind is going.
And no, he wasn't actually falling asleep. I saw no point where he seemed distant or catatonic
Right.
for more than, I'd say, 1.5 seconds. Now, I saw about 3 times he did it for about 1 to 1.5 seconds. I saw that.
Same. Yeah, he had his mouth open sideways a little bit, like, huh? And then he had that blank look at one point.
Yeah, he's staring down at the floor.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be engaged whatsoever.
His head comes up very slowly at kind of like trying to figure out, trying to gather something.
My question is, why am I giving the choice, the choice between senile and maybe demented and obvious liar? Why are those my choices?
Yeah, right. That's not good. And for both sides, you really can't pick anybody.
I think I was 19 that when I surmised that my vote doesn't matter, and then I was in my early 30s when I surmised that there was only two kinds of people in politics: the ignorant and the liar. Because
That
politics
makes
is so
sense.
crooked, they have to be either ignorant or a liar. They have to be one of those two things. Now, what kind of a person do I want in charge of me? Someone who's ignorant or someone who's a liar? Oh my gosh, neither one.
Right. And then in my mind, it's a weird thing because a lot of people talk about what does it take, what type of mentality does it take to go out there and push somebody out of the way. It's almost psychopathic. And,
Well, it's
it's just,
self-important.
yeah, it's just like, I want to do this. I would do this if I had a chance to do that. But these guys will do it. I mean, they may have the means of the money to do it, but they will do it with no qualm. And that's almost like a like a weird, mentality that seems to ride the top and take advantage of people. They know how to do it. It's
Oh,
that type
sure.
of mentality, yeah.
No, okay. Let's be fair about it. I want to influence others. I want people to change their minds. I am thereby literally manipulating people. That's what I'm
Yeah.
doing. Okay, now but the question is, am I manipulating them to their benefit or to their detriment? What's my
Yeah.
intent? What's my intent in within my manipulation? Okay. Well, now we can talk about whether or not the person actually cares about other people or if they're just self-absorbed, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So there's nothing wrong with me moving someone out of the way, even violently, if I'm doing it to catch a baby falling off a table.
Right. Yeah.
That's totally justified, right? Uh,
Totally.
but if I'm doing it to assert my personal importance in that scene and situation, in the eye of the public, am I really serving people well? Well, probably not.
Right. And then you see the people that get really excited when he does something like that, or somebody does something like that. They root and cheer like he's doing the right thing. It's that's almost I don't know. It's a form of madness to me, and I see people do that a lot.
What would that be? Why would someone cheer the mistreatment of others and the obvious false bravado of the individual? Why would you cheer that? Because you yourself feel oppressed and you identify with that public character and you wish that you had that kind of power,
Right.
and you
That's
feel like that power within them somehow represents your strength.
right.
How's that? What do you think?
Yep.
I mean, it's a
It's,
real
that's
good
a,
rationale.
but the first thing that came to my mind was because they want to be them, and they want to be that
Sure.
powerful.
Right.
It's a jealousy in a weird way. Like
Maybe
but
emulation. Maybe it's not jealousy, but more emulation, that they associate themselves to Trump, like they are in some way Trump, or they're of the same ilk, the same group, the same mind. They're in agreement
yeah.
with Trump, is in agreement with them. But that's the whole idea behind character building. I was married years and years ago, and we went over on a regular basis to visit with her next older sister because they were really good friends.
Welcome,
And
CT.
peace and
Sorry.
respect to you.
Thank
Um,
you.
So they would sit there in the living room on the couch and they would talk, and I wasn't really into girl talk, so I'd walk in and out of the room and I wasn't really paying attention. I walk in the room one time and they're going, Victor did this and Jamie did that, and on and on and on and on, and I'm sitting there listening to that, and I'm listening to what they're saying these people did. And I stopped them. I said, how are these people not in jail? How are they escaping the prison system? I don't get it. They said, no. It's General Hospital or whatever. They named some. But they were talking about like it was real, and I thought they were talking about real people, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So they're so deeply involved in this fiction that when you listen to it, you would think they're talking about real folks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's character development. That's getting the person in the drama of
Hmm.
the story.
Right. Yeah.
And it works. It gets people, like, it gets the brain engaged, it gets the emotions engaged, and people remember the story. They can talk about
Hmm.
it with great accuracy and great depth.
Hmm. Almost like
So,
verbatim.
so then I saw it starting to happen in sports, especially professional wrestling. And then
Uh-huh.
I started to see it happen in basketball, baseball, football, all this character building. And then finally it crept its way into politics,
Yeah.
where I know all of this insane personal stuff, true or not, I don't care. But all this insane detail about personal things, um, about these politicians. Well,
Hmm.
why are they giving me character building? Why are they doing that? What do you
Yeah.
think?
Well, they're trying to sway your mind one way or the other to pick a side to see
Right.
what you fall into. Like what they grab in your mind that agrees with them that they could. It's like when I saw Trump last night. Like my father is a manipulator. My father is a master manipulator. He can go and he can move into somebody's house and take everything from them. He's done it many times.
Yeah.
And I saw Trump doing that. He repeats keywords 3 or more times, and he'll use terms that put fear into people, and he'll repeat that. If as long as you repeat it 3 times or more in a certain style, it almost hypnotizes, brainwashes. It's some people that are in that
Sure.
mindset that want to be like him. Yeah.
Now, personally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, why are they telling me the same thing several times? What are they trying to
Yeah.
accomplish?
They're putting that into your mind to keep it in there long term.
Yeah.
They're beating it into you, like practicing. Like it's almost like hitting the same key over and over. And just do a boom, boom, boom. You're gonna memorize it after a while.
Hmm.
I see it as almost like witchcraft sometimes with some people that have that mind that could be swayed easily, which is
I think that's
unfortunately a
literally
lot.
witchcraft.
Sorry.
I think that's what witchcraft is,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is
Casting a
why I
spell.
think that a lot of churches are practicing witchcraft.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Damn, full of accusations today, are we?
I am very opinionated, if that's what you mean.
No, I mean accusations, accusations, accusations.
Like
Li-
they're trying to brainwash me. Would you give me any evidence that's not true?
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
That's
Who
what they
did?
are. Yeah.
Yeah, see, they're accusing people of being liars.
Well,
Let
I
me.
think that they're following their father, the father of lies. It's not their fault, really.
Oh, okay. Now we're into fear mongering about the
No,
father of lies that you
no,
fear,
that's not
you
fear mongering.
follow. Oh, okay. Okay.
No, I
Okay.
don't fear that I follow.
You're fearing you're following, fearing you're following, fearing you're following. Is that really witchcraft? Isn't it true that you're much too innocent to have such evil knowledge claims rolling off the tip of your tongue?
Actually, I think you're too innocent to really understand what I'm talking about.
Oh, are you implying that I'm more semi retarded than you?
Nope, nope, just sweet, just nice and sweet and innocent.
Well, flattery happens. It may be, 50% accurate. Thank you. Thank
Like I
you.
said, I don't consider you the source of lies. Not at all. I don't consider any of us the source of lies. I know who the liar is. It's not us.
Oh, now you've got knowledge claims about the source of lies.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
I believe the Bible's obvious claim that the father of lies is Satan, and he's literally the father of lying, the father of all lies. We're just following it. We don't make these things.
And now you're making collective confessions of guilt. We're
No, no,
following
no, of
we're
innocence.
following liars.
Do you
Oh, they're
understand,
all
Tommy?
liars.
Tommy,
What? What?
how did you miss that? I said it's a collective claim of innocence. How'd you miss that?
Uh yeah, yeah.
How'd you turn my accusation of people's ignorance into their guilt? That's not fair. I didn't do that.
Okay, it's not fair, and I didn't do that. Okay.
I mean, it's actually the opposite of what I said, is that people are following Satan accidentally.
Don't
And it's
worry,
because
it's
it's
okay.
only because he's such a good liar.
It's all right if I confront you about accusations, and they're all liars, and we're all guilty about
Who's all liars? What
following liars and politicians.
can I give you a definition of lie? Is that okay?
Do you approve, Victor?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
A lie is an intentional misleading using a known untruth. Okay? So in order to be a liar, someone has to have the intent of deception.
Oh.
Now, that what I mean by that, and the obvious difference between that and being wrong, is a person who is wrong believes they're saying that they are saying something true. They're just
Okay.
mistaken. They're not lying.
Uh-huh.
So I think that a lot of religious people are wrong. They're following a lie. They're not making the lie. And they have no intention of being deceitful. None at all.
Well, you speak from experience, I trust.
Well,
Personal
yes,
experience. Yes.
everyone speaks from their personal experience.
Are you now still a religious person?
I don't have a religious practice. That's
Oh.
this person.
Oh, you just have a YouTube habit. I hear you.
That's not what I
hear
mean.
you.
What I mean is I live my life a certain way. It's not ritualistic. I don't think there's any ritual that needs to be followed. I think that is one of the lies of Satan.
Satan claims. Okay. And your point is?
My point is that we are, as the Bible says, perishing for a lack of understanding. That is, we're ignorant, and ignorant is synonymous with innocent.
Okay, so you feel like you're perishing from a lack of ignorance? No, from ignorance.
Yes, that's what we perish
and you feel
from.
like you fear you follow the father of lies, and you've never told a lie.
That.
You've never told a lie before, so you yourself, of course
I have lied before.
Oh well, you're certainly quick to tag others as liar.
No.
You yourself have repented, I guess.
No. I gave definitions. I'm speaking very carefully. I said we, as children of God, are ignorant of what is true and often repeat things that are not, believing they are true, which makes us wrong, not liars.
A collective claim of a collective confession of communal ignorance.
Yes, that's right.
We are ignorant.
Just like the Bible says, just like the Bible clearly, I think it's not even a moot point when the Bible says, "My people perish for lack of understanding." I think that's true.
Okay, so you're Bible thumping to support your claim that we're all ignorant.
Well, do you believe that? Do you believe I'm reading that right? First of all, do you believe I'm reading that verse correctly?
Oh, I believe you're sincere, Richard. Yes.
No. That's not what I asked you. Do you read the verse the same way I just expressed?
Sir, there's no two of us alike. I mean, surely you'll
that's not the question. Please don't avoid the question.
Okay, there's no two alike in our discernment. Surely.
Okay, do you agree with me on that verse?
In part, of course.
Okay, what else did I leave out of the verse?
What are you trying to pin me down like a prosecuting attorney or something? Come on, Richard.
No,
I'm just mirroring.
I'm
just mirroring. Don't be afraid. It's okay.
I'm not afraid. You're strawmanning my position. You've misrepresented it 3 times. I'm starting to think you're dishonest.
Oh my God! Now I'm being certified dishonest. Now wait a second.
Because I've expressed these things to you.
Do you have the truth? Do you have the truth or not?
What's that?
I said, do you have the truth or not?
That's a big claim to say I have the truth.
I am truth, yes.
Look, Tommy, I am fully persuaded
Uh-huh.
that the things that I believe
Uh,
are true are.
yeah. Ooh.
Okay. Which is
Okay.
not the same thing as I can't be wrong.
Uh-huh.
I could be wrong, but
Okay.
just the same, some things are so simple they can't be wrong.
They can't be wrong. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like trees are made of wood.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
true. Okay. A
Okay.
liar is someone who intends to deceive. That's just a simple thing that's true.
Okay. Is that status permanent?
Yeah, well, that's our condition. That's the way truth is. We don't have
Oh
to worry
God,
about
is
it.
a communal declaration of permanent guilt. You know, you lie once
No, permanent
and you.
innocence. Stop saying that. You're a liar.
Oh God, now I've just for mirroring. Now I'm the liar.
Have
Oh
I at
shit.
least once corrected
Oh
this in this
shit.
same conversation?
Yeah, yeah. I think you have
Then
assumed
why are you still saying it?
a corrective tone. Yes,
No,
yes,
I logically corrected what you were saying and shown that it
sir.
wasn't what I was saying, and you've said it again.
Sir, I have been a speech analyst for almost 15 minutes now, and
Right?
you know it's part of my hobby and good pleasure to mirror
Okay.
back to you when I hear confessions and accusations and communal confessions of collective guilt and
But what if your mirror is
proclamations of
cracked?
opinions.
But
I'm
Tommy, I pointed out your mirror is cracked and it's not reflecting the actual object. It's pointed the wrong way.
okay. Okay, so now
If you want to speak in metaphors.
you've rated my metaphorical mirror as cracked. I mean, okay,
Obviously.
it's okay. It's okay. I
Well, could you
understand.
fix it? I pointed it
Hold.
out not to chastise you, but I pointed it out that you might fix it.
So I need to fix my metaphorical mirror. You sound like Matt
Yeah,
Slick.
obviously.
You sound like Matt Slick a little bit.
See, like when you say Matt Slick, who's Matt Slick to you?
Matt Slick, our theological neighbor. Matt Slick. Yeah. Never
I
mind.
know I have my experience of the person. What does Matt Slick mean to you?
Matt Slick is a man, a believer in Christ Jesus, who rated me as having 3 legs in the cat box, metaphorically speaking. I
Yeah,
thought
okay.
it was a gracious rating myself.
It also
You know,
means Christians are burying shit, but that's beside the point.
I see. Wow.
I mean, did you think about it that way? That's beside the point. Okay, so when you compare me to Matt Slick, in what ways am I like Matt Slick?
You rate me semi graciously.
And by semi, you mean not fully.
It precisely.
Okay, so Matt Slick misjudges you, and I am too, and that's how I'm like Matt Slick.
No. There's no misjudgment to it. It's just an opinion.
Misrates.
Yes, misrates. That'll work.
Okay, would you tell me how I'm
my
misrating you?
metaphorical mirror is cracked and that it's
Yes,
aimed poorly or misaimed or.
sure.
And then you exhort me to correct it. And what the
Would you
fuck are you
please?
talking about? You know,
It
sir,
was your metaphor.
I have been semi-psychotic before, and man, does that sound semi-psychotic to me. I don't know what you're talking about. A cat box?
Perhaps we could clarify it. I'm sure
No,
trying to.
that would be you. That would be you to clarify it. Yes.
Yes. Perhaps I can clarify it for you. We can get it clarified. Here's
Oh.
what I mean, Tommy. Here's what I mean. If you say pumpkins are orange,
My friends call me Saint.
and then I repeat what you said, or I claim to repeat what you said, but what I change it. I change it to carrots are orange. And then you say to me, "No, Richard, I said pumpkins are orange." And I said, "Okay, so by that you mean carrots are orange." You've made a statement I misunderstood. You've clarified the statement. I continue to stay with what my interpretation of it is that's not your interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
If I continue to do that, I'm obviously being dishonest.
I got to take
Does
the
that
dog.
make
I'll be back in
sense?
a couple minutes. Sorry.
Thanks,
sir.
Victor. Thanks.
Does that make sense, Tommy?
Yes, you speak English well.
Okay, so when you say I said something, and then I said, no, actually, I said the exact opposite, and then you say
Okay.
it again, and I say, no, I said the exact opposite, and then you say it again, I have to think, A, you don't want to hear what I'm saying, B, you're thinking whatever you want to think of what you are hearing, or C, you're just being dishonest. Now, you tell me which one it is.
B.
It's B.
Yes, B. It's okay, Richard. I'm just trying to have fun. You don't have to make it so personal. Jesus
It's not
Christ.
personal. It's
Just
logical.
just because you fearmonger a little bit and do a little name calling and a little collective declarations of collective guilt, it's no big
It's
deal.
collective
Jesus.
innocence. You've done it again.
No. I reflected what I reflected.
Okay, I even
You
quoted a
used the
verse.
word liar. You used the word
Yes, they're
liar.
following a liar.
They, themism, gotcha. Okay.
I mean, many people are. There's probably still some lies in my mapping of reality. I'm working on that.
Now we're getting to the projection fear mongering part, huh?
What?
I said now we're getting to the projection fear mongering part.
Projective fear mongering. Wow.
Projection, comma, fear mongering.
By claiming ignorance in myself, I am projecting onto others. Do you know that makes no sense?
Well, I imagine if you don't want to make sense of it, of course it won't make sense.
I'm sorry. Just explain to me how it would make sense that introspect is projection. Go ahead.
Okay, let me say this: that sometimes name calling is a form of projection, and
Could be.
thank you for your endorsement when I'm half through. Yeah. Sometimes, and name calling the same way. So anyway, I was taught to listen in a certain way to what men calls that good men, assuming you're a good man, which I do, no flattery intended.
I'm not a good man, but I am trying to be honest.
Listen to that. You're not a good man. That's
I'm
so
not. There's no
sad.
good but God.
You're perhaps that was a time sensitive statement when that was written. God is righteous in making men righteous. Chew on that.
Righteousness is fulfillment of the law. I do not fulfill the law. I am not righteous and by any definition good.
Well, your confessions are your own, and who can argue with another man's revelation?
So how is my introspection projection, please?
I didn't say introspection. I said confessions and name calling.
Yeah, okay. So if I confess I don't know all truth,
your confessions of communal guilt. We follow the prince of darkness or whatever it was, and your name calling. Oh, politicians are liars. He's either a liar or he's dishonest or whatever your accusations were. I can't remember.
I said ignorant or dishonest.
Yeah, ignorant. Thank you. Anyway, that has to do with projection. That has to be projection of your own self-conceptualization, which you claim you're not a good man. Why should I be surprised? Am I surprised?
Tommy,
I do admit that I am
are you doing
surprised
this
a little
only
bit.
for the experience of the argument? Is that why you're doing this?
That's a good question.
I mean, if you just need the interaction, we can talk about anything that you don't find provocative.
That's a good question. You perhaps could use a little reassurance.
No,
Richard. Are you a good man?
No.
How good are you?
I'm trying to be good, but I fail all the
Oh,
time.
you're a try-hard. Okay,
Yeah.
well, you
Right.
conceive of yourself as a noble try-hard, but not good.
Right.
The Apostle Paul allegedly wrote a letter to the Romans informing them about the gift of righteousness. But I presume you are ignorant of that gift. I presume. Have you ever had anyone call you good?
Well, you today and a few other times in my life, but they're wrong.
Says you.
Well, Jesus says he's not good. Am I better than Jesus?
I won't contest whatever you have ingested in the past, the logic you
Well,
have
is
ingested
anyone
in the
better than
past.
Jesus?
You work out your own inner logic and your own conflicts, or you're conflicted. If you're conflicted, it's your own battle, Richard. I just asked if you were good, and you said no. I'm a try-hard. I'm a wannabe.
That's right.
Okay, that's right. A noble try-hard wannabe. That's
Sure.
nice. That's nice.
I'm just trying to figure out what's wrong with that. If you could tell me, in your opinion, what's wrong with that?
Well, if God has made you good, Richard, it's
No, God doesn't make us good.
now that's a collective claim there, isn't it? Speak for
Right. It's a
yourself.
biblical claim.
Speak for yourself.
Do you
If,
dismiss the Bible in its
no,
claim that no one is
no,
good?
I'm making a point. I'm making a point that you roped the rest of us into your personal
Oh, yes,
confession.
I do.
Richard says, God doesn't make me good. But instead, he spits it out. God doesn't make us good.
That's correct.
See how you're roping everybody else into your own
I
personal
do see
self,
it. Yes.
your
Why is
own
that wrong?
your own personal self conceptualization. If God has made you good, Richard, you're good. If God has made you
Sure, if that
good
were the case.
by His grace, not because you're so logical or so honest.
Wait, what do you mean by grace? Because you're using a definition there that I would not assign value to. Could you give me your definition of grace?
No.
I didn't think so.
Well, what does that mean? You win? Does that mean you're not good?
No, I think you haven't thought enough about this yet, and I encourage you to think more about it. What's grace?
Well, look, I consider that I was judged as wrong after about 5 words out of my mouth. Did it take that long? Okay. Maybe I'm wrong, Richard. Maybe God hasn't made you good by grace. But I have reason to believe he may have.
What
In
do you mean by
spite of your
good by grace?
extravagant, regardless of your extravagant dogma of which you are famous for, regardless of your state of being semi-retarded or semi-advanced or semi-advanced or whatever
We're all
it is
ignorant.
however God has made you. Yes, however, maybe both semi-retarded and semi-advanced. But the premise still holds that Richard Madsen, no, let me start with God. God may have made Richard Madsen righteous.
No.
No. Okay. Well,
Next straw man, please.
The truth stands, regardless of your fearful
Or perhaps you would just poison the well again. I don't know what you're going to do.
Confessions of doubt. Now you're accusing me of poisoning the well. Okay.
No, I'm not accusing you. You did it, and I'm making an observation.
Okay.
I can prove you did
it. Okay.
Because this is recorded. I can prove you did it. I can give you the
Your
definition.
allegations.
Well,
your little rhetorical allegations like a prosecuting attorney. Yeah, I hear you, Richard. Sure.
Now, technically, Tommy, you
going to
have
call me a liar? You're going to call me a liar next, huh?
I'll say you're mistaken.
Are you a liar, Richard?
I don't know your intent, so I can't call you a liar.
Are you a liar?
Have I been a liar in the past? Yes. Am I lying right now? No.
Okay, but you're willing to call others a liar.
No, I didn't say you were a liar.
I hear you.
Why are you making these false accusations?
No, that's what I've heard. Didn't you just call politicians liars?
I said they have to be either A, ignorant, or
Certain.
B, dishonest. That's what I said.
Okay, whatever. I've grown fatigued.
You should be.
Of
It's hard to be
banter with you. Rag
disinventive
my
and
ass. What are you gonna
constant.
rag my ass now?
I mean,
Okay,
for a
go
person to
ahead.
constantly shift the goalpost and misrepresent someone is tiring.
Okay, go ahead. Rate me.
Well, that's what you're doing.
Let me write that down there. That constantly shifts goalposts. And what was the other one?
Misrepresentation.
Misrepresentation. Okay.
Like, how many times have you said that I'm making a collective claim that people are liars? And how many times have I corrected you? That's got to be exhausting for you to keep this up.
It must
See,
be.
it's easy for me because I'm just speaking my truth.
Yeah.
I don't find it. I find it exhilarating. I don't find it exhausting.
Okay. Well, I don't want to rag your ass. Either you're
Yes,
good
you do.
or not. Either you're good or not. No, I don't.
No, we're not good. None of us.
Says you.
Says Jesus.
Time sensitive.
Oh, okay. So who was he speaking to? What was the time frame, and when does it end?
Oh, you'll work it out. Surely,
No.
if you have interest. I don't care. I don't have to justify these proposals.
You don't have to
Please,
justify
sir.
your assertions. No, you don't have to. That's true.
That's exactly true.
Yeah, you don't have to.
I propose that God is righteous in making sinners righteous.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I propose that God
is sinning good.
And what is this? A test? A little theological
Tommy,
test?
in your opinion, is sinning good?
Have you been taking Jill lessons?
I'm just asking you a question. Simple question. You can answer any way you like.
I don't know. Send your sister on over and we'll find out. That's my standard retort to that inquiry.
I do have a sister about your age who's really hot, but she's married. She's not interested in any other men.
Sorry, I'm not in the market at this time. It was just a clever little retort about his
It's not clever.
Good, Tommy. His sin good. He's missing the mark good.
Right.
Because you're trying to pin me down. You're trying to pin me down. I'm surprised. No, I'm not surprised about that. Come to think of it.
Jesus' sacrifice doesn't make sinning good. It covers the sin of the sinner.
It covers. Okay.
Right. It like hides it.
That's pre-resurrection, isn't it?
Well, it's like hiding it.
That's pre-resurrection, isn't it?
And it's because the sacrifice of Christ reveals truths to the people who were wrong before. That's how it covers it.
No, it's just covered. It's like a little overcoat, a veneer, a shell.
Not a veneer. As far as the east is from the west, as far as the east is from the west, it covers it. It's not a veneer.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see if I can solicit a confession from Victor. Victor, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Are you a good man, Victor?
At some things.
Right.
I try to be.
Oh, you're a tryhard too, and at some things. Gotcha.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah, I was a way I could see it.
Yeah.
Not really. Not a try hard. Pretty much like a stumble upon, I'll do if I have to thing.
If you're compelled to, that's the way good works roll.
I don't go looking for old ladies across the street, but if I see one having trouble or falling, I'll definitely help.
You're compelled to do predestined good works. I hear you. Well, that's nice. That's nice. That's I'm glad that you're good, Victor. That you can bravely admit that at some things. Yes. If you're compelled. Yes. Which you do find yourself compelled. Okay. Back to you,
Sometimes.
Richard. Back to you, confessing your communal condition of guilt or whatever it is you were confessing. Yes.
Tom, at this point, you're just dishonest.
There you go with your accusations again, Richard. I
There's
hear
no way
you.
you can mistaken the 5 corrections I've given you.
Okay, well, you've said it. According to you, I stand accused and convicted, if not condemned, of what? Dishonesty.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's not the first time you've talked shit to me, Richard. Not the
Really.
first time.
It's not the first time that you were dishonest then.
Hmm.
Because when people are honest, I agree with them.
Mm. Are you honest, Richard?
I'm being honest right now, yes.
Oh, okay. I'm being honest. I'm not honest, but I'm being honest. That's
Well,
not what
it
I
depends on
said.
what you, Tommy, that's cheating because what you could have meant is, have you always been honest? And the answer is no.
Mm. What was her name, Richard? Just kidding.
Which
Just
one?
kidding. Just kidding. Exactly. Give me an easy out on that
I could give you lots of names.
one. Your lipstick case has plenty of notches. I bet it does. I bet it
I
does.
was once a very, well, I didn't believe there was any objective morality, so I did whatever I liked.
Uh
And one
huh.
of the things I liked were women, and some of
Uh
those
huh.
women were already committed to another man, and
Oh.
that bothered me none.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I
Well.
would woo and have physical relationship with married women.
Okay.
Naughty,
Well.
naughty.
I know. And don't expect any condemnation out of me, Richard. I mean, if you gotta condemn yourself, that's your business.
I do.
Okay. Well, you've done it.
Thank you.
Blessed is the man who does not condemn himself for what he allows. It is written.
You just made that crap up. That's not in the
What
Bible.
says you?
Find me the verse.
You find it.
No, it's your claim. I don't have to find it.
No, but if you sense
I mean, if you
language,
write down something, you can say it is written, but when you say it is written, you're trying to say it's in the Bible, and it's not.
sir, that is exactly what I have implied.
Let's
And
see. It is.
although it may be in Southern vernacular.
Let me show you
All right.
what you just did
All
there.
right.
It
What
has
did I
been
do there?
written. It has been written. Fallacy via Gish Gallop. J. Nitpicking pronunciation. Jacob means supplanter. Israel, him who struggles with God. Christ Jesus. Now, those were notes from a debate I was having. And they are written. I'm reading them right now. They're right there in front of me. But it's not a Bible quote, boss. But when
Look,
someone says it has been written, they're talking about their religious. They're talking about the Bible, and you're wrong. It's not in the Bible. So either A, you're dishonest, or B, you're just have a bad memory. I don't know what the other option is.
oh, sir, I'm not your boss. The Holy
Let me
Spirit
ask
is the
you.
teacher. And
Let me ask
furthermore,
you.
no, if I can retort, please allow me to
Is there a
retort.
Bible
No,
verse that reads, "The Lord helps those who help themselves"? Is that a Bible verse?
not to my understanding. I think that may have been Ben Franklin or some other semi-retarded visionary. Um, no,
Oh, good. You do have some memory. That was a
that's
cultural
that's
thing. It was
nice.
not a
That's nice.
biblical verse.
Now, blessed is the man who does not condemn himself for what he allows.
Yeah, what verse
Google
is
it.
that?
Google it. You want to put Tommy to the test? Your
I just want
wannabe
you to back
patron,
up what you
your
claim.
wannabe patron saint Tommy of God. You're gonna put me to the test and accuse me of twisting scripture or
It wasn't my claim.
misquoting the King James with my Southern vernacular,
It
or what the fuck?
okay, if I say Fred Thompson is a politician, that's my claim, not yours, right?
From Red October?
Was he in the movie Red October? He was in
The-
some submarine movie. It might have been Red October. I don't really know.
Okay. Him. Okay. Look.
Yeah, Fred
Look.
Thompson, the actor,
Google
was once a politician. If I make that claim, who does the burden of proof fall on? Me or you?
The truth stands for itself.
No, the burden of proof
Look, I can't
on the
convince you
claim
of nothing.
falls on me or you.
You can't tell nobody nothing, Richard. Look it up. Google it. Blessed is the
I
man.
don't need to Google your claims.
Blessed is the man who does not condemn himself for what he allows. Is it written or not? That is the question. Now you say no. You say, oh, he's dishonest. He's dishonest. He's misquoting Holy Canon or something like that.
Right. Blessed is the man who, go ahead,
does not condemn himself for what he allows.
Hold on. Condemn himself for what?
He allows.
For what he allows?
Yes.
For what?
Now realize this is a Southern paraphrase. So.
Allows. No, I'm okay with that.
But it'll be substantially there in canon. KJV.
Okay, so here's what Romans 14 in the NIV actually reads. Blessed is the man who does not condemn himself by what he approves.
Okay, well, like I say, there may have been some variance due to, I don't speak the Queen's English. Okay.
Fair enough. You said Southern interpretation.
But
that's
there
fine.
it is. There it is. Substantially. I did a little Bible thumping. I suggested that a man is blessed when he does not condemn himself for what he approves, allows, affords. Okay. I got a little sloppy on it. Okay.
So it only goes 19 to 23, and 23 is quote unquote the end of the chapter, right?
Okay. Context. Yeah.
And that was 22 out of 23 that you did fairly well quote.
If it floats your boat and comforts you to condemn yourself as a man who's not good, as a tryhard and a wannabe, well, who am I to disturb what comforts you? But I tell you, Richard, blessed is the man who does not condemn himself for what he approves. Yeah.
So I want to get this in context.
I know,
and it's true. I've read of the King James and the 1537 Matthews, and I didn't recognize it the way you were saying it. Okay. I admit.
Okay.
I didn't recognize
I'm not offended.
I admit that I didn't recognize it, but it is at least fairly well quoted by you, and it is in the text. Okay.
And you said you knew it wasn't there. Yes.
That's not what I said.
Something along those lines.
No, I just asked you to show it.
Victor?
I didn't say it's not there.
Victor?
Yes, sir.
Is my and Richard's interlocuting, is it amusing to you?
It's interesting.
Oh, good. I'll count that as...
So if I could read of 19 through 23, let us therefore make every effort to do what leads to peace and to mutual edification, something that I'm trying to do and you're obviously not.
Oh.
Do not destroy the work of God for the sake of food. All food is clean, but it is wrong for a man to eat anything that causes someone else to stumble. Of course, this is talking about ideas, not actual literal food. It's just using food as an example. It is better not to eat meat or drink wine or to do anything else that will cause your brother to fall. Okay, so that's repudiation of me arguing with you. Where
just because I'm annoying doesn't mean I'm going to make you fall, Richard. Come on.
I said I risk making you fall.
I reserve the right to be annoying in the name of love and God and peace.
I said it's repudiation of me in that I should stop having this conversation with you because I could cause you to fall with something that is true.
Oh. Don't do it,
Okay.
Richard.
So
Don't.
am I bickering things with you and causing you maybe to turn away from the truths because I'm bickering? That's the
Yes,
question there.
yes, and you owe me $29.95 for the offense, and I accept PayPal. How about them apples?
So whatever you believe about
you
these
have incurred
things,
a debt. You have incurred a debt, Richard.
so whatever
You have.
you believe
Uh,
about So
just
whatever you
kidding.
believe about these things, keep between yourself and God. That's good
Uh-huh.
advice for me, right?
Yeah,
Blessed is
yeah.
the man who does not condemn himself by what he approves, right? Which is the part that you quoted.
Yeah.
And to me right now, what this says to me is I would be happier, right? If I do not condemn myself
Yeah.
by the things that I think are true. In other words, if I would be happier, things would be better in some way if
Blessed.
I
More
did not
blessed.
use more blessed,
By
right?
God, by Almighty God, our Father. Yeah.
Yes, by Almighty God.
Our
Next thing
Father,
you want to say in the middle of this?
Yes. I just want to
While I'm doing your homework for you.
I want to confront you on your confession of personal fear. But I'll wait until you've done the homework. Go ahead.
Blessed is the man who does not condemn himself by what he
Yeah.
approves. Okay. So that's in the eyes of Tommy. I could be condemning myself by my own professions and turn Tommy away from the truth.
Oh, that's a hell of a responsibility to put on your own shoulders,
I know.
Richard. Jesus Christ. Who do you think you are, a saint?
To him who is given much, much is demanded.
Oh, my God. God's very demanding of you because of all that revelation. I hear you.
He didn't give it to me for fun.
I hear your fears, yes.
But the man who has doubt is condemned if he eats, because his eating is not from faith, and everything that does not come from faith is sin.
Anything apart from faith is sin. Oh, my God.
So if one doesn't believe what he's eating or consuming or taking in,
or doing,
he is condemned. He's condemned, right?
Well,
you're going to do according to your beliefs. There's no need to say do, because do is of the abundance of the heart, because faith without works is dead. So because of that, it's saying if you believe something, you don't need to say act on it. You're going to act on it. That if you consume a thing that you have doubts about, then you are self-condemning, right? Because his eating is not from faith, that is, he does not have faith in what he is consuming, and everything that does not come from faith is sin. In other words, it's sinning against God to not believe what you profess, i.e., be a liar. Now, I'm not a liar.
Thank God.
I do believe what I'm saying.
Oh, good.
So my reviewing of your quote makes
my job
my
is
reviewing
done.
Of your quote as best I can understand it. And you did agree with me on all the points throughout what I was talking about. The interpretation of this means that your quoting of it to me was pointless. You didn't have a point.
That's a hell of a
thing
to say. That's a hell of a thing to say, Richard.
I'm sorry. Review what we just went and what you agreed to. Review what we just went over.
Oh, your
it was pointless. It doesn't apply to me. Well, I mean, just say something that does apply to me, and it won't be pointless.
St. Tommy got me to admit that I'm not a liar, and it's pointless.
I used to be a liar. I used to lie all the time. I can give you several occasions of it.
2 + 2 = 5, says Richard.
I don't think I ever tried to profess that. I don't think I ever tried to convince anybody of that.
Something of that. About a candy bar you didn't steal or something. Okay. It's pointless. I believe you, Richard. It's pointless for me to sit here and
say things that don't apply.
No, or to
You're not
chide
chiding
you.
me when you say things that don't apply.
You're interrupting worse than Veckel. Please
Well,
hold
but
your
you're
tongue.
saying things untrue, and I don't
Please.
appreciate that, and it's satanic.
Oh shit! Satanic
So
accusation.
should I
Aisle
sit
3.
aside while Satan puts lies through your mouth? Should I just sit here and take it? Is that what I should do?
Are you an exorcist, Richard?
In this way, yes. I'm trying to exercise whatever is talking to you that's saying things that aren't true. I want it to run away.
Well, you said it. I'm not a liar, said Richard.
No, you're not a liar. I'm not saying you're a liar. I said you're speaking lies.
No, I'm saying that you confessed that you believe that you are not a liar. And I like
I'm not
that.
a liar
I
anymore, but
like
I used
that
to be.
very much. When did your, oh, we'll get into repentance now. That'll be fun, surely. When did
Sure.
you graduate from being a liar, pants on fire, to being not a liar? When did you graduate, Richard? 20 minutes ago? What?
It was
When?
approximately 6:30 in the evening.
On January, what?
And it was Central Time, and it was the 6th, and it was February, and it was 2012.
Wow, what a great day.
So within 10 minutes, I mean, I can't be that precise because I was busy.
All right. Did you become righteous at that moment?
No.
Did you become good at that moment?
No.
Did you become clean and justified and redeemed and born again and a new creation in Christ Jesus?
In that moment. Yes,
Oh,
I did.
Well. Here we go. Another win. Let me write this down. No need.
See, but you asked me of things that were possible when you started off with things that are impossible according to the Bible. And of course they didn't happen. They're impossible.
I'm afraid I have little hope of escaping your stringent critique, Richard. I mean,
Well, that's because I'm right.
Fail. I'm gonna fail. Of course.
But that's only because I'm right.
Of course you're righteous, Richard. God
no,
has
I'm
made
not
you
righteous.
Uh-huh.
I'm not righteous. I'm correct on this topic.
Chiding you is likened unto instructing a child in trigonometry when you only know algebra. Yes.
Are you saying I'm off topic?
No, I'm just saying that it's...
Are you saying you're off topic?
I'm just saying that we do instruct one another and we do chide one another.
No, you've never instructed me to anything.
And none of us know trigonometry, much less statistics or...
Look, Tommy, you have a lot of rhetoric and you're good at using it for argumentation.
Thank you so much, Richard. Thank you.
However, it's without any meaning.
Says you. Okay. Well, God's responsible. The words that I've said
God
to
is
you, Richard, my good Richard.
Or Satan is responsible, one of the two.
Oh, God, there you go with your satanic fears again.
No, I'm just saying, if you say something that isn't true, you didn't make the untruth. You're only repeating it. All lies are sourced back to the father of lies, whom is Satan.
I note that after 3 words, you interrupt me, Richard. I note that compulsively. You've got Veckel tongue. Yeah. Anyway, well, I forgot. Look, it's hard.
Actually, I only ever do that in retaliation.
It's hard to unhear truths, Richard. It's hard to unhear them. You can deny them and disclaim them, or you can refute them or contest them, and then when you're laying there asleep, trying to get to sleep at night, note that St. Tommy called you good by the grace of God.
Well, I'm not.
You just remember. I know. I hear you say, "No, I'm just smelly."
And no, Tommy, you're not so good at this. It'll keep me up at night. It just won't.
No, it's not. It's not me, a dumbass like me, Richard. It's true.
It's also not the Holy Ghost who does not endorse you.
Says you.
I mean, he's never endorsed you to me.
Well, that's his business.
and I have communication through the Holy Ghost on a regular
Oh,
basis.
well, let's get
He's
a
never spoken to
consensus.
me of
Let's see.
you.
Has the Holy Spirit ever endorsed me, Victor?
What's that?
It.
I was talking to Victor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
has the Holy Spirit ever endorsed you?
Yes,
Um, that's a difficult question.
it
Yeah.
is.
What's the Holy Spirit in this? What's that mean?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we've got a 50-50 consensus here. Okay. Thanks, Victor. I thought he may have.
I just received correction. The Holy Ghost has endorsed you to me, Tommy, in this
Oh,
particular.
oh,
Are you speaking over me after having just objected to me speaking over you, which
yes,
you started doing?
yes.
Because I only do it in retaliation. I know that about myself.
Oh,
So could you stop it?
yeah.
Okay, so the Holy Ghost has endorsed you to me in the following way, that he has said that you are a son of God, and thereby you are a recipient of the offer of salvation through redemption via vicarious redemption in the sacrifice of Jesus Christ.
Thank
In
you.
that way, he does endorse you.
Thank you. I'll have to write that down.
So far,
Endorsed
it's the
by
only
God.
way.
Uh-huh.
So far, it's the only way he's endorsed you.
Okay. Well, I'd like to extend my gratitude to both you, Victor, and you, Richard, for your hospitality. Thanks, guys.
Oh, anytime, sir. Oh, he's gone.
It just seems like he doesn't like what I say, but you can't
Mhm.
just take something that someone says that you don't like, flip it on its head, keep insisting that that's their claim.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah, there's a lot of
if I say
toppling.
V, you are a consummate violinist, and you said no, it's guitar.
Mm.
It should only take you saying that once before I go, oh, sorry, it's
Right.
guitar.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It's,
But if I said it 5 more times and you'd corrected me each time I'd said it,
mhm.
yeah, such as Nerdy Rodent saying Richard does not believe in aliens. This is an obvious inverse of my beliefs. Obviously, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows that I think aliens, or at least the human ancient angels, are
Mhm.
definitionally aliens. And there's no point in someone saying Richard doesn't believe in aliens. It's just an evident untruth.
Well, if you look like this, like the Prometheus and things like that, if they come from another world to inhabit into this other, if they come from another world, they're alien to this world.
Yeah,
So
if
yeah,
something
yeah.
comes from a different place, it's definitionally an alien. That's
Hmm.
correct. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't see any way to argue it.
right. It's
Unless you're
people
going to
hear
say that
aliens.
angels have always lived on this earth. Now, who the hell thinks that?
Mm, yeah, when people hear aliens, they just think of the Greys or the reptilian type deal, and it kind of throws them off
Well,
a little bit.
that's their own brain
It's
narrowness. That's
yeah, it's
fine, but
almost like categorizing with the cage. That sometimes they got to open that cage up and understand that definitions and words can kind of blend with other things and mean other things.
yeah, that's pigeonholing, which is
Yeah.
another fallacy.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can't pigeonhole someone else's expression or ideas into what you think it should mean. You can't do
Right.
that. It's just
Yeah, it's just
dishonest.
it's their opinion. It's almost like you have to accept it that way. And if you want to argue, argumentative about it, then there's got to be ways about it, but directly, a direct. So the way I'm trying to say it, I guess, is like a direct hit with a blank isn't going to work.
Right.
Yeah.
Direct hit with a blank. I mean, what Christian would agree with the following statement? Angels are presently on this planet, only on this planet, and derived from this planet. Who
Mm,
the hell would agree with that? You cannot get that out of the Bible.
yeah. And it's. I mean, just looking at the world and how it is and what comes in and out. And if you're going to find, some form of I guess some form of substance that could sustain life on a meteorite that comes in. Who's to say that we're not an accumulation of all these things that came from other places that accumulated
Right.
here to pull together to make what we are? It seems that to be the case.
Well, from what I can read of the text, what's being claimed in Genesis and in the creation narrative
Mhm.
is directed panspermia.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what it's describing.
Mhm.
They said, we had all this stuff, we brought it to where you are now, and we put it there. Well, gosh, that's
Mhm.
directed panspermia. I mean, as plain as the nose on my face.
Yeah. It's
And every plant
definitely.
before it was in the earth. I think it's chapter 2, verse 3 of Genesis. So it's
Mhm.
saying we had all this stuff and we put it there. And they describe it in order, major
Mhm.
classifications of the stuff and when they put it there. And then when
Right.
we look at science, science says, yep, that's the order of it. We can bicker
Mhm.
about time frames, fine.
Mhm.
But science says, yep, that's the order stuff happened in. Oh,
Yeah.
golly, where's the argument?
Right. It's almost like when you hear these rich talk about how they want to inhabit Mars. Well, first we have to give it an atmosphere, then we have to give
Sure,
it plantation, things like that. It's a way of
sure.
terraforming something. It's how it's done.
Even if you only terraformed it inside particular domes,
Hmm.
to protect it from everything else, and you only made atmospheres within those little biodomes, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah, it's almost experimental in
still
a
it's
weird way.
terraforming just on a really small scale.
Hmm. Yeah, it's almost like I heard somebody say, well, if they could create life in a petri dish and then they take the electrodes off the petri dish, well, it dies. Well, how could life exist here? Well, the thing is, we have electrodes. We're magnetic. The Earth is a magnet. It's constantly transferring energy around. So we are inside the petri dish at all times. So that experiment itself failed at the end when you remove the terminals,
Electrodes, yeah.
electrodes. Yeah.
Well, actually, that is a popular and non-scientific, like popular idea or popular
Hmm.
understanding
Hmm.
of the Uri Miller experiment, which was done in like the 1950s sometime. I don't remember the exact date,
Hmm.
but and
I
the
gotta look that up.
experiment didn't happen in one day anyway. But because experiments aren't like that. So,
Mm.
but they were actually quite successful in making bicoralic protein amine proteins. They were quite successful in that. The
Hmm.
problem is that there's no life that is a right hand protein. They're all lefts. There
Uh
are no rights that work,
huh.
and they have to be homochiralic. Like you'd have to, like if you made your hand into a palm shape like a palm tree,
Mm.
and you tried to make your right hand fit inside of it, the thumb's going to be facing the wrong way. They don't fit
Hmm.
together. And what you need is a whole bunch of a stack of left hands.
Uh,
And that's the case with amine proteins and protein chain building. They have to be homochiralic. They have to be all left-handed. Okay.
mm.
Um, so Uri Miller made 50%, 50%. Well, that's okay, but that means it's 50% useless. That's what that means. And and it's not exactly true that when the anode cathode were removed from the containment that
Mhm.
the proteins died. That's not true. They just stopped being produced. Well, that's obviously true.
Yeah, because you
Without
have to
that
have
spark
that.
of energy,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's why they put it there,
Right.
so
Yeah.
that it would do that. And then if
Mhm.
you remove them, it stops. Well, gosh, that was obvious.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
it's totally obvious. Yeah.
so I
But I
don't
hear
know
that
who
a
said
lot. I
that or
hear that.
why they said it, but I
Uh,
know they don't
mhm.
understand what happened in the Uri Miller experiment.
Hmm. That's why I try to say we are, because constantly we have our terminals connected. There's no reason for that to even be an argument. I think for that
Okay,
side.
so
Yeah.
here's the problem I'm having with that as an
Hmm.
assessment of how the continuation.
Mm.
Um, you in order to change
Sorry.
that oxygen free ammonia and methane, excuse me, methane environment
Hmm.
into actual proteins, You need not electromagnetism. That's not good enough. You need not a direct connection and transference of energy like a wire. That also wouldn't do it. You need a spark.
Right.
It has to be a spark of electricity. And that's what they provided in that atmosphere to create those proteins. So no, just because everything is energy doesn't mean that you have that spark that would cause the beginnings of abiogenesis. In fact, the closest thing that we see in our natural environment is like static electricity or lightning arcing and things like that. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what would be needed. No, that doesn't happen everywhere all the time. And no, it doesn't get sustained. Like, how long does lightning last? 3 weeks? Like it did in the Uri Miller experiment? No. Lightning does not last continuously in one environment for 3 weeks. It just doesn't.
Yeah, I see what you're
Now,
saying.
could there have been an ancient Earth where it could have? Well, yes. But it doesn't happen right now. It doesn't continue. That's why we don't see new things popping up. I mean, do we see like brand new different kinds of life forms popping up in different forms? No, the cell is the cell and the cell is the same. And, it's either, it either has a nucleus or doesn't. And that's it. That's the only two variations there are. Nothing new's happening. They're all the same structures. What is it? Prokaryote and eukaryote. They're either prokaryote or eukaryote. We don't see any different structures. Just those two things. That's it. Nothing's getting invented.
Right. Yeah. Oh, let me put my dog back in real quick. Hold on. Oh, you got it. Okay.
Double dog dare you.
Oh, Cat's got it. Cat's got
got
the
it.
dog in.
Cat's got the dog. Cat's got the dog.
Yep.
Cat's got the dog's tongue. Dog's got a cat's tongue. I don't know. I'm confused. All these darn sayings.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's not like a continuous arcing we have.
It's really interesting, actually. Just reading the Bible has brought me on a chain of discovery of science that I couldn't have cared less about. Like, for instance, the Uri Miller experiment, which I actually read, but I would never have read it had it not been for certain verses in the Bible. And in fact, every verse that, what's that?
Oh, I heard it secondhand and looked it up on the internet real quick, to get the gist of it myself. That's about it on that experiment.
You hear it in Christian and atheistic argument. You kind of can't avoid it in this community. But
right, yeah.
But it was the Bible that led. And before I ever had an argument or discussion with anybody, the Bible said, "Okay, this claim," and I went, "Really? Is that there?" And I went to the internet, and it was there. And in fact, 100%, and not my biases, I kept track of these things. 100% of the things that it claimed were in reality were there. Even the things I'd never heard of, they were actually there. So I can't think that I'm reading it poorly, and 100% of the searches it sent me on had a positive result. Like, how could both those statements be true? Oh, you're totally misunderstanding it, and it's all saying true things. What? No, that doesn't work. Sorry. Like Uri Miller, the existence of moons other than the Luna, our moon, the existence of the asteroid belts, that there's moons over Jupiter of certain colors and shapes and sizes, and comparative distances. I mean, just a whole bunch of stuff that I did not know about that's true. That solar events can trigger earthquakes is a claim in the Bible and in the reading frame that I've adopted. And I was like, bullcrap. And that made me find Suspicious Observers, who has a more than 70% accuracy rating in their earthquake prediction model based on that very thing. Oh, and it's the first prediction model ever, and it's batting over 65 on a regular basis, sometimes over 70, sometimes over 80% right. So yeah, it's a
Mhm.
fact of nature that I was completely ignorant of. Now, why was I ignorant of these things? Because I was damn busy.
Mhm.
Well, a wife and 2 kids, hers from a previous marriage, kept me busy for 20 years. And then
Yeah.
divorce and alimony kept
Mm.
me busy. And then being a construction guy and just being poor and trying to survive
Yep.
kept me busy. Yeah, you know
Okay.
how that
I
is.
know exactly. Yeah,
If
you're
you're an
talking about.
honest construction guy,
Hmm.
if you're an
Oh,
honest construction guy trying to make
yeah.
a living, you're
He's hard.
working your butt
I,
off.
I'm an honest. I was an honest computer guy and an honest mechanic, and it's very hard to make a good living being an honest mechanic when you're not swindling people out of money.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So I've been busy. I didn't have time
Mm.
for this stuff. And most kids either dream of dinosaurs or stars. I was one of
Right.
those weird kids that couldn't give a crap about either one of them. I was interested in hydraulics and pneumatic systems,
Right on. Yeah.
servos and motor driven systems, pug
Right on.
mills and water pressure and
Hmm.
hydraulics. All that. That's the stuff I was interested in.
That
I
stuff
know
is
it's
pretty cool.
weird.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
not
I
at all.
love.
I'm into electronics myself, and I'm not super like heavily, not as much invested as you, but I've worked with servos, remote control
I
cars and
think
things
you're
like that.
more
Try to make little
invested than me,
robot. Yeah.
actually.
Sorry.
But these are the things I find interesting. So these are the things I went and learned about. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but it wasn't astronomy, astrology. It wasn't ancient religion. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
ancient languages. I never studied any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So how could I be reading it wrong and it was outside of my knowledge range, and when I look it up it's true? How could all that be true at the same time? I don't see a
Only
possible way.
only I could think of is like the Bible just references like observances, things that were observed and probably even known to a
Sure.
certain level that we know them now,
Right.
and it's repeating, um, and things that are like totally obvious about, like let's say, certain conditions will cause an earthquake, things like
Right.
that. If that's observed several times, they'll write it down, and they may
Right.
even use it to their advantage as a shaman would, like how Cortez did the South Americans with the eclipse,
Right.
like that
Right.
type of deal. Yeah, so I think it's
So
almost.
that could be a
Mhm.
good observation with a bad assessment, something like that. That could
Uh,
be.
oh, I got Isaac
But
in the back. My
but I
bad.
tell
Hold
you
on, hold
what,
on.
human
Sorry, bro.
brains can't do. Peace and respect,
Huh?
Isaac. What human brains can't do is they can't extrapolate out necessarily, whether using logic or being illogical, things that they're unaware of.
Mm-hmm.
You can't extrapolate the
Right.
unaware.
Oh,
That's
right.
impossible.
That's totally
You
impossible.
see
Yeah.
why? You just can't. Okay, if you're unaware of A, B, and C,
Mm.
and I say to you, "What's A, B, and C?" and you're like, "How the hell would I know that?" Well, then
Right.
you won't get to D, will you? If you don't
It's,
know what A, B, and C are, you can't get to D. It's
yeah, especially if you
impossible.
follow a logical process, it's impossible.
So, so in that, David and Goliath is describing our inner solar system, and when it claimed there were 4 moons over Jupiter, the fifth character out, or Goliath, and it describes the coloration comparative sizes. It gives actual measurements in the text that are true, by the way. I mean,
Mm.
I don't know if you're hearing me. There are measurements
Mhm.
of comparative distance. I'm sorry, comparative sizes in the Bible, in the story of David and Goliath, of 2 moons over Jupiter, and it's 100% accurate. It is spot the hell
Mm.
on. Now, what's the problem with that? Well, because that story is Old Testament. It was written down something about 3,500 years ago, and there was no telescope to discover the moons. There wasn't one. And we know there wasn't one
Mm.
because Galileo made a certain mirror of a certain shape. I can't remember the name, a parabolic mirror.
Mhm.
And he discovered those moons and got to name them. So nowhere on the earth had they ever been seen before Galileo. When was that? 1609.
Mhm. So if you have to relate information or technology that see that what we would find, I don't know if we would find some type of evidence of that would be so far back, would we? If
No, there's no evidence of anyone talking about the moons over Jupiter. I looked into this deeply. There
Mhm.
is there
Well,
is one
oh,
possible assertion from a Chinese astrologer who said that he thought there was some kind of a discoloration traveling across Jupiter.
It reminds me of, you heard the Dogon tribe, right?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, they have certain information and things like that about stars that they're trying to figure out where they get this from. They're just living in grass huts and putting on mud masks, but yet
Well,
they
how
have
about
some sort of
this?
information.
How about someone who knew it told it to them?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it had to be related information.
That's plausible, right?
That's probably in a situation, if it's perfectly spot on that way and there was not that technology to see that distance, it would have to be related information.
Right. It'd have to be related information. This is why I'm saying that mankind could not have authored, at least parts of. Obviously, mankind could author a lot about the philosophy, observations about mankind, personality types, mental conditions, all that. Humans could have written it. Okay? But there's certain things in the text of the Bible we just could not have written. We can't have. And as soon as someone says, oh, you're making a false correlation, well, then I've made 32 false correlations out of 32 claims, and those 32 things exist in reality. Well, that's 100% rating.
It's pretty solid.
In things that were outside of my knowledge range. 100% rating of things outside of my knowledge range. Let's be realistic here. I didn't make this up.
What
Are you saying it's impossible to like come up with concepts and understand them unless you've been told about them or shown them if it's outside of our dimension or something?
Well, what I'm saying is that the human mind can't. Okay, so there's identity. That thing is the thing, and so that's interpretation. I look at the thing. I talk about. I feel the thing. I smell it. I taste it. That's interpretation, right? And then you have interpolation, which is, look, there's this thing and this other thing, and they're different. Here's how they're different. Here's the aspects of A, the aspects of B. Let's talk about the differences between them. That's interpolation, right? So you get interpretation, interpolation. Next, you have extrapolation. Extrapolation is like, I have a coffee cup in my hand. I did not make the coffee cup. The coffee cup was obviously made. Someone else made the coffee cup. And you can do that with a Starbucks container or anything at all, right? So because I can say Starbucks has a paper cup, I can extrapolate there's a shipping truck. Because the factory for that paper cup is not in the store. I can go and look. It's not there. Well, then you have shipping. Well, then you have trucks. Then you have drivers. Then you have fuel. Then you have all this necessary stuff. Now, that's logical necessity. Yeah. But I tell you what you can't get to. You can't get to factory for the paper cup without the paper cup.
Okay.
It sounds like an added up version of what deduction would be like.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. Right. That was a deductive that was necessary inductive argumentation through extrapolation of things that are observable. But if you can't observe it, you can't extrapolate. You see my point?
I use that skill a lot, and no one's ever told me that order, but I understand it like subconsciously.
It's intuitive, right? Right. Once someone says it in words, it becomes just blatantly obvious.
Yeah, it does.
And good for you.
Yeah,
good for you.
That was helpful.
So you use that every day.
I must, without knowing it.
We do. We've been trained to use it every day, which is why when someone says I don't value logic, I think they're an idiot. Because they're using it all the time. So the human brain cannot extrapolate out without necessary interpretation and interpolation. You can't get to extrapolation without those two. So if you have nothing to interpret, you'll never get the answer.
Yeah, it's also how I see relativity and deduction, I guess.
Right.
Together.
So could you be unaware of moons over Jupiter and read a piece of text that describes the moons over Jupiter, and you made that interpretation?
And then someone
not knowing that they're there.
Proves
not
it.
knowing that they're there. Yeah, then you go and look at it and you find out they are there, but you didn't know that at the beginning. Could you have made it up?
You couldn't have, because it was planted in like without any prior knowledge of it. So like it's literally, it'd be like doubling a file or something.
Yeah,
an
it's
outside
actually
source.
impossible. That's my
It would
argument.
be
What happened to
impossible,
me is
yeah.
actually impossible to have been me. It's not possible.
Same with me when I knew for a fact Travis Scott was going to fall in the Super Bowl like a fallen angel in a hologram and pop up. And I told my
Yeah.
friends, and then it happened that day. And I thought they were playing a prank on me, like I had hit my head so hard that I saw it and they replayed it for me or something.
No, that's really
'Cause it was-
good because the first thing you did was you doubted your experience and you tested it. Good for you.
Yeah. I asked them, I was like, are you guys pranking me? Like, I've seen
Right.
this before. I knew it. And they're like, no, but you've told us before that it was going to happen.
Right. That's information from outside of possible experience, which when tested against reality was. That's the
The only
definition.
explanation.
That's the definition of communication.
I think I lagged out.
I said
Welcome,
that's the
Ironic.
definition of what communication is
yes.
it's information from outside of one person's experience which tested against reality is true. That's information.
And for me, the biggest thing, that only explanation for having these sort of things happen was my outer body experience in a coma, which if you never had a pre-knowledge of an outer body experience, I mean, we have because other people have had these experiences, but it'd be pretty weird to have an outer body experience without any prior knowledge.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's shocking. I mean, I had one. It was shocking. I didn't like anything about it. And it wasn't what people described. My experience was different from at least my interpretation of other people's informational expression of their experience was inaccurate to the actual experience. So when it happened to me, it was shocking. I wasn't expecting what happened. And I didn't like it at all. It was quite disturbing and upsetting. And I tried to fight it, and I found I couldn't fight it either. Even though I had been practicing for more than 3 years, I'd been practicing, what is that, the word? It's like alert dreaming, like you're aware that you're dreaming. What's that called?
Lucidity.
Lucid dreaming. Yeah, I'd already been doing lucid dreaming and controlling my dreams. And then when this happened, I thought it was a dream. And I immediately went to take control of it, and it would not relent. I could not take control of it. Oh, and I was awake. I wasn't even asleep. I was sitting on a friend's couch.
I had an out-of-body experience that was pretty shocking when I was 7 or 8 years old.
Really?
I think I mentioned it before, way back. It was
Well, I've forgotten if you mentioned it to me.
I don't know if you might have been. I'm not sure. But I was about 7 or 8, and my father was barbecuing in the back, and we had these Coke bottles. The large Coke bottles that come in a 6-pack in their glass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we had this room that led out to a back patio that was about 5 or 6 steep concrete steps down to to solid concrete. And I was a stupid kid. I grabbed the Coke bottles and I was running out to my dad to bring the Coke bottles to the barbecue. And I trip off the step.
Oh.
And I land right on the broken glass, and a piece of glass goes into my leg and wraps itself around my leg, causing about a 3.5-inch gash across my knee. Well, when I remember myself falling, and then right before I hit the ground, I was there about, I want to say 6 to 8 feet away, like to my left, and I was looking at myself getting up off the ground, and my hand on my knee and my finger inside the wound. I was looking at myself doing this, and I couldn't touch the ground, and I was looking at myself, and I saw the hole in my leg, and I saw my finger go into it, and I looked up, and I saw my face crying, and I was like, boom, right back into myself. And then I was looking at my hand and then I glanced down to see my hand on my knee with my finger in the wound and pulled it out. And that was totally shocking and weird because I was, there. And it just like clear as day. There's no way I get around that not happening. Did not happen. That totally happened.
See, but if it's outside of possible knowledge range, that is, it hadn't happened yet, and what you received of it was informational. That is to say, it was true.
Like
then your brain can't extrapolate that. There's just nothing to extrapolate from.
The thing I got out of it, well, I don't know what it is. It's really weird. But I remember that happening, and then when I was in 3rd grade, Miss Baker, she was very religious, and she would read the Bible to the class every morning. And then she said something about Jesus taking the bite of death away. And that was always in my head, is like, you don't have to really worry because it's not if it happens, you're not going to be there to experience. It's a weird thing. That's what I got out of it in a weird way. Kind of
Yeah,
weird.
fear him. Fear him not who can take your flesh.
Mm.
That's no one to be scared of.
Right.
All right, back in 5.
Right on. Yeah, with that.
We'll be back in 2.
Right on. Yeah, right. How you doing, man? You there?
Chaos and disdain, everybody. What's up?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Right on.
I was just thinking about what you guys are talking about. I had a thought about it, and then I just lost it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So, I mean, I was just kind of, as you were describing your experience, your out-of-body experience, sort of, or I don't know if it was exactly out-of-body, but
Felt like
it made me wonder about, like we were talking about the Trinity yesterday, and as you know, like looking at that situation and considering yourself outside of yourself, that was you, right?
Yeah, I was watching. I was looking at my body,
and who were you looking at?
In my head, I was looking at the whatever I was inside reacting to what was happening, but I didn't feel anything. When I was looking at myself, I didn't feel the pain. It wasn't until I was like looking at my leg I felt the pain. Until I was back in myself looking down at my leg, I felt the pain. When I was looking at myself,
but I mean, the point is you were outside yourself, but looking at yourself. I mean, you were looking at Victor, right?
Yeah.
But it was Victor that was, I mean, at that moment, at that, just considering that instance, were there two of you, or was there one of you, or how do we figure that out? Like if you're looking at a Trinity situation, a Trinitarian or a binitarian situation, you are you're sort of you're one person, but man, there's two revelations of yourself, or there's two.
As when I was at that time, I was just thinking, like my parents. Well, my mother's Catholic and she's super religious at the time, believes in angels and all that stuff. So I was trying to make sense of it in what information I had then, and that's why the first thing I thought of was, Jesus takes the sting away of death, because I didn't feel any pain when I was looking at myself, and that's something I got out of it. But
what I'm asking you to think about is what if
separation of soul?
What if during that experience there was a permanent split that happened, and you were always just like following yourself around, but you could communicate.
In a weird way, that's what we do every day with our consciousness. We follow ourselves around and give ourselves information, right? In a weird way. We're always...
I'm just talking about in the real world how God could be represented in two persons, let's say. Does that make sense? That's what I'm getting at. How it might happen, like how it might really happen. Something similar to what that could be like is something like it seems like you might experience.
So like the soul or like the spirit itself can inhabit the body. So make it two separate pieces, like the. I mean, if it, I don't know, because in the Bible it references God to have a human body. I mean, we are mirrored after it, and they do reference him having backside and feet.
Yeah, I'm not thinking about bodies as much as persons that are
right.
Because because in this instance, in the split off thing that was looking back at you, that didn't. I don't think you had a body. You said you weren't feeling the pain when you were sensing yourself in that position. It was only when you got reconnected with the body, then Yeah,
it was very strange. Because I remember trying to move. I remember looking at myself and trying to move my feet and arms. I couldn't do it. I couldn't feel the ground. I couldn't do anything.
And who knows how many seconds might have ticked off in real
Mhm.
time.
Like in my head, I could count off maybe 5 or 6. Yeah, it lasted at least 3 for sure. Because I see myself get up off the ground, look at myself, and then look down at the hand, and then look back up, and then boom. So it had to be at least 3 to 6 seconds.
But I'm thinking that it could be possible that anyone that was witnessing you that
Mhm.
uh, would have never have noticed any kind of 6 second gap of
No,
activity in the little kid that just hurt himself on the bike.
because I could actually, not only was I looking at myself doing that, but my mother and sister were at the right where I fell off the door, and they were standing there looking at, the physical me, like starting to freak out because they had to rush me to the hospital, and they actually had to pull the glass from my leg, and I think I had like 17 stitches and they had to cast it up for a while. It's pretty bad.
Did it
Pretty
cut
bad.
a
It's pretty
tendon
rough.
or anything?
Huh?
Did it cut any close to a tendon or anything like that?
It's weird because it's a piece of the bottle was almost like curved from the top all the way to the bottom. You can imagine almost like going around the bottle, and that just totally went around my fucking my. I don't know. I was all I remember was the pain, and the doctor saying this is going to hurt. And
Well, I just can't imagine you being in a cast unless there was some kind of tendon.
I have to ask my mother because I had a cast on. I had a cast from the top of my leg down to my ankle, and I was able to bend my knee, so there had to be something wrong in there.
You know what I mean? You don't
Yeah.
do that just for stitching up some skin.
Yeah, I
or,
gotta ask my mom about that because I remember being in a cast, and I remember my mom's relative, some Mexican lady I never met before, bringing me some Mexican candy that tasted weird. And I remember having the cast on, and then and them coming over
Had
and
that
touching and
pepper
signing the
shit
cast.
in it, spices.
Now some
Yeah,
weird.
my kids used to love the Mexican candy. I don't know why. I didn't care for it.
I didn't like the spicy ones. They have a spicy
I mean,
crap.
that's what I don't like that. But my kids, they're all, I guess.
Yeah, my kids love that shit, dude. Hot Cheetos and all that weird shit. All the spicy Mexican food.
They like the real sour candy.
They call it, what do they call it? Tamarindo. It's that fruit.
Yeah.
And they put chili and all kinds of weird shit in it. My wife and kids love that stuff. Me, I don't really care for it too much. I'd rather have a fucking Snickers or,
I'll stick with the Mexican bakery.
the good ones, because a lot of the bread is always like dry. You ever notice that in Mexican bakeries, the bread is really dry on some?
Yeah, I don't like dry. I don't like dry baked goods. No.
Nah, I like, there's only maybe like 3% of Mexican baked goods that are actually like soft and have some kind of good feeling to them. But other than that, when my mom go to that Mexican bakery, it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of turtle shell hard bread.
Like for instance, a churro. A churro is just a fried,
Donut.
cinnamon sugar thing.
It's a long donut. Yeah,
it's not moist or anything. You know what I mean?
Well, it can. I mean, no, they are really. Like I used to go down to Tijuana, and we used to go across the border, grab a bag of churros, off the Mexicans selling them off the border, and they're just like freaking cinnamon sugar donuts. All they are.
Yeah.
They're just fried dough on a long stick rolled in cinnamon and sugar. That's all it is.
I think a lot of the difference, like if you go down to Mexico, and I noticed this in some of their just regular food, but they use like real lard and stuff, and it's what really like it's just shit like that makes it taste like great,
like authentic. Yeah, like I over here in Illinois, man, I don't argue, but there's so much of a difference between the northern Mexicans and the Southwest Mexicans, like total different in food and taste and everything. Yeah. The northern Mexicans, they love.
Do you have a preference or?
I like the Southwest myself, but I don't know if I grew up there, but it just tastes more authentic to me, and it's more traditional. Over here, they use a lot of cheese sauce and things they had to like use to mimic what they had because they didn't have it, and it kind of stuck with them.
Okay.
Yeah, so they like like this night and day. It's almost like eating Taco Bell is eating I call them Chicago Mexicans.
I like the little.
I
mean, I don't know. I like this Mexican place in town here where I'm at. This is the one I've only stopped at the one place, and they have these. I like the places that have the thin flour tortillas that are very strong, though. Nothing, you know what I mean? They're
huge, right?
But strong, but they're flour, not corn, right?
Right, and they're freaking big, right? They wrap giant burritos and shit with them.
They're a little bigger, yeah. And then I just get this carne asada steak.
Yeah, there you go, carne asada burrito.
Cheese in it, and that's it. And then
well, like the the traditional way they do it
I can get some lettuce or sour cream or whatever. Some
like this, if you want a traditional
salsa in it.
What I do is I use the traditional carne asada that they make them down in Mexico, which is just carne asada, pico de gallo, which is tomato, onion, jalapeno, little cilantro, and guacamole. That's it. Pico de gallo, guacamole, and a shitload of carne asada meat, and the fucking wrap. That's the way I like it. And
I never liked guacamole. I mean, I'm not a big avocado.
oh, I love avocados, man. I must have been a giant sloth in my past life.
I wish I liked it. But they're good for you and everything, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of potassium. I mean, I like them. I eat them cut them in half, eat them right out of the shell.
I mean, there's not really much to an avocado for taste-wise. It's not like a strong taste, right?
No, it's a mild, but it just has a taste I like. I don't know, it's weird. I like them. What's that?
To me, it's like butter.
Oh, yeah, kind of, right? It's got that texture. It's like a thick butter.
Super oily.
Yeah.
Hella good for you.
You could certainly whip it up into something like that would spread like butter.
Oh yeah, dude, just mix a little mayo in there, a little squeeze of lemon.
That's kind of what guacamole is, right?
It's sour cream usually. Usually a little bit of sour cream in it, but you could put mayo in there if you want. It works because it has oil and mayo, so it kind of like enhances it. I put a little bit of mayo, smash up avocado, salt, pepper, a little bit of mayo. And I put it on a sandwich, like a spread, like a mayo spread.
Okay, when you say mayo, do you mean like do you ever use Miracle Whip?
No, I don't like Miracle Whip. I like that. I don't like that tangy part. Yeah,
it's too sour, kind of like.
Yeah, it has that. Like it's almost like to me, it tastes like it's starting to go bad. Yeah.
I like mayo for like potato salads and things like that.
Yep.
I like Miracle Whip on my sandwiches.
Oh, I gotta stick with heavy mayo on my sandwiches usually.
And I always use a lot. I like a wet. I like a wet. You know what I mean? I like a moist bite in my mouth. You know.
It sounded so gay. I'm not going to clip that.
I like mustard.
Eating, like we were talking about the dry baked goods or whatever. Yeah, like I don't know. I don't want to have to drink necessarily with. To I don't know. If I'm eating one of those
you have to wet your whistle every time you take a bite.
Yeah, if I'm eating one of those Mexican things, I want to take I want to sip a hot chocolate or like I don't drink coffee, but I want to have a drink with it or something.
I think that's why they're kind of dry. Because I noticed that. Like I noticed when my mother's grandfather, when I was a little kid, he'd come over. He'd come from Mexico, from Tijuana, and he would walk from the trolley, and he would bring a bag full of Mexican candies and breads, and they would all have coffee, and they had this dry ass Mexican bread, and every time they dunk it in and take a bite, and I said, okay, maybe that's why. So,
okay.
And I also thought, it's Mexico, and I always thought when I was a kid, it was a poor, like dirty brown nation, brown.
We always used to, as kids, we dip cookie. Like I didn't like
chocolate chip cookies and milk.
But we drink, my mom would make cookies, and we dip the cookies in the coffee, and then eat eat it that way.
That's
and
good.
A little coffee flavored cookie.
Yep.
That was always good.
So I know I'm like 12 minutes ago now, but I just don't know how the conversation got on dry food.
Oh, we're just talking about this and that.
I blame the Mexicans. I blame the Mexicans, don't you, Victor?
Yeah, Rennick started with the Mexican talk. Who brought up Mexicans first?
No, but I was actually talking about Victor's out-of-body experience and how that could be a way to understand the Trinity, or in that case, that brief instance, like a binary of an existence of two characters that are one but separate. It was an interesting little idea that came to my mind when he was explaining that little
expound.
That's about the extent of it.
Okay, no description. Got it.
No, I said it just. I was asking him to imagine, like, because I could, he's the one that had this experience, but I was asking him to consider himself outside of the body, and who was he looking at, and well, what if things could be that way, all the time, how many of you would there be? Or, would it be one? Is there one Victor but two forms? Anyway, it just invited some questions there in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah,
That's
it does. One of the questions it invites from my mind is, if it wasn't the experience of the person falling, it was the experience of someone not the person falling. And the perspective was, you said something like 8 feet off to my left.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And not that that's perfect, it doesn't need to be, but it's from that perspective, like you were watching it happen.
Yeah.
Well, it seems evident to me that it was informational. That is, it's true in reality. And anything not true in reality is disinformation. So I wanted to clarify that. But it was informational. It was true in reality. And it was from someone else's perspective. Well, who's the someone else?
Well, and I'm assuming there, in his case in the story, there is no someone else. It's who were you looking at? Who was it that,
Okay, let's consider that. I can imagine a scenario. I can imagine I'm up on the shelf to my right, looking down at me and what I would look like from that perspective. I can imagine that. But I tell you what that won't do is that won't predict the future.
No, but from his perspective, another thing that I was curious about his explanation was that he seemed to be in tune. At least his physical feelings was somehow associated with where he was in where, like, for instance, when he was 8 feet away, looking back at the kid that was falling or whatever, gonna have that, or having that injury. He could see a finger in the hole or the wound and stuff like that or whatever, but he's not experiencing pain until it was like after that 6-second time lapse when he zapped back into his body, and then he instantly could feel the pain. So that was an interesting aspect.
So as you said that, I was trying to consider your mind, and I'm trying to understand what you're saying by the words that you're using, and get like the gist of it, the spirit of what you're saying. And in that moment that I was doing that, I was not in myself. I was being in your perspective. Is that fair?
Yeah, but not in the sense that I don't think if somebody was pinching your toe, you wouldn't notice the pinch.
Okay, so it depends on how distracted I am, how involved I am in your narrative.
Or
If
it
I'm
might
very
depend
involved in your narrative, I might have been ignoring, and was in fact ignoring, the pain in my left foot. So I wasn't experiencing me because I was involved in experiencing you. Is that fair to say?
Okay, I understand what you're doing here, but I don't see that it's necessarily analogous to anything that Victor experienced when he had his out of body experience.
Because it was because it was a perspective not his own. I'm literally doing the same thing.
Why do you say it was a perspective not his own? What does that mean?
Because his eyeballs are contained in his skull.
But how was it he was able to look at himself from 8 feet away?
I don't think you're able to look at reality from 8 feet away and predict the future. I think someone else would have to be giving you that perspective.
Who was predicting the future? He was just looking at the present, I thought.
Actually, from what he said, if I understood it correctly, the vision from outside of self, off to the side, had him experiencing things in that vision that had not yet happened. For instance, the location of the injury had not yet happened when the vision began. That he felt of the injury and maybe accidentally or exploratorily stuck his finger inside the wound. Those things had not yet happened.
I thought he was telling a in real time story. That's what I was.
We'll have to ask. We'll have to ask
No,
V for clarity on that.
It was in kind of like in real time when I fell, I was boom right outside, watching myself get up. But I could see what you're saying, Richard, because I was watching what was happening, but I wasn't there when it was happening.
Yeah,
But
you're
I
experiencing it in the second person.
right, yeah. So I could see where it would be like out of time in a weird way. But it was
Right.
as
After
yeah,
all, by the time you say something and it goes through this computer system, and then my headphones bring a signal, make it into vibrations, I process the vibrations and understand what you're saying. There was an obvious time delay there, minute as it may be. There's a delay.
right.
We never experience something in real time.
I see. Okay.
I think
Because we're
that's what
processing
latency
the
does.
present. Yeah.
That's
Our
latency, right?
processes. Yeah.
It puts
Okay,
you
so
onto like a relative timeline.
so to experience something from outside of self in real time is not possible. That is, if it's an actual real time, it's precisely the same moment. Then that is literally a prophecy.
That's, I mean, I've experienced it, but
I don't think so.
I saw it.
Well,
Well,
you
mine
don't
was
think so,
weird.
but I have to ask you, Irenic, how many times has this happened to you?
No, I don't agree that the definition of prophecy, as I understand it, fits anything like that. This idea of a lapse in time, with regarding a thought or something like that.
Okay, do we agree on the definition of prophecy, that it is informational, true in reality, to happen in the future?
I don't believe that. No, that's not how I would.
Well,
I
what is
mean,
prophecy to you?
well, might just throw the caveat that may or may not happen in the future.
Well, then that's guessing or presenting possibilities. That's not a prophecy. A prophecy of God can't be wrong according to the Bible.
Where does that say that?
If my prophet says an untrue thing about the prophecy, I did not send him. That's where it says it. It has to be true or it's not from God.
And you concluded from that, what was it? Your first statement was?
That it's a prediction of the future that will come true in reality.
Oh, that it cannot not happen?
It can't not happen, or it came from Satan definitionally.
What about
So,
what
see, you're
about
trying to defend
what
open
about
theism, but the Bible speaks against it.
no, the Bible talks about God changing his mind.
No. That's not the same thing as I said.
Right, but okay, so wasn't Jonah a prophet?
Yes, Jonah's the prophet.
Okay, so Jonah prophesied against Nineveh. Didn't he prophesy the words of the Lord against Nineveh?
Yes.
And what were those words? 40 days and Nineveh will be destroyed.
Yes.
Okay, that was the prophecy, and it didn't happen. So that's just a
Yes.
case in point.
Okay. Are you saying that because people can repent and what God intended doesn't need to happen, that God didn't intend it?
No, I'm saying the prophecy doesn't meet the definition you just was trying to foist upon us.
Okay, then maybe I accepted a definition of prophecy that was inaccurate in that moment. It's not a prophecy if it doesn't happen. So then I have to retract my agreeing with you that what he was doing was prophesying. And I'm more than welcome. I'm more than welcome correction. Thank you.
But what was he doing
Well,
He was
in a
thinking
weird,
a possible
when he
future.
said when he
I
said
noticed the
there
wound
was
outside my body before my body noticed it. I think because it wasn't until I saw myself put my finger into the wound, like I seen it before it was there, but my body didn't know it was there until it did, and then when it did, I was back in it.
Yeah.
Weird.
It would shock you.
That's what I'm
back.
saying. It's pre-information.
Yeah, it's original. Like it's like finding an ancient stone underground that no one knows about, and like you're 5 years old, no one told you about this stuff. Like you can't make it up. You had the experience.
Mhm.
So to me, it's like original, uncut, like experimental research, valuable information. Wow, like
It was
because my
really
friend,
weird.
I don't know who it was. One of my streamer friends, he said it might have been Demolish. I don't remember if this. It might be if stop me if this is the one. But they were like in their room and they saw someone doing dishes. No.
That wasn't me, but that's
Okay,
okay. You can
so
still tell the story.
yeah, I didn't want to tell your story if it was that one, but no, thank you. So they were having an out of body experience, just like napping in their room or something. They saw their mom doing dishes or their someone's mom or downstairs in the exact same like order and like in the exact same way, and he couldn't get back in his body, and he was like scared and flipping out, and where as soon as he got back into his body, he ran in to like get help. He was freaking out, and his mom was in the exact same spot doing the exact, and he was like seeing his whole house and stuff. He's really young.
Yeah,
That's trippy.
I really do think that what we are often labeling as deja vu is actually accidental prayer.
Is what? I cut out.
Accidental prayer.
Oh,
How's that work?
Well, first of all, if it's true, and your brain can trick you in many different ways, your brain will try to justify the experience into the reality under the map that you have of reality. That's what you're going to do. You really have no choice about it,
yeah.
right? So we'll say things like to ourselves, psychology will say things to us like, well, you're just confusing the time frames because you're trying to justify it to your reality. Okay? But that's not the experience. That's a straw man of the experience. The actual experience is that you have a precognition of a near future event. That's the actual experience. Okay, and how you would prove that is the same way that I'd proved that several times, is by writing it down as soon as it happens. Just write it down, and put a timestamp on it. And then for sure your brain is not tricking you because it's already notated, right? And then when you run downstairs and see mom doing the dishes, you have a piece of paper in your hand that says mom's doing the dishes. She's right now washing a green bowl, and the scrubber. As I first glance into the kitchen, the scrubbing device is all the way in the bottom of the bowl, which I can see over her right shoulder. You write down those kinds of details. And then you can't say, oh, it's my brain tricking me. You can't. And that's what I've done. You are self-muted, sir, on StreamYard.
Yeah, I get that. It does help, and it would like. But I've had the experience to where I remember clearly. But I guess for other people, it'd be more interesting to write it down. But for me, I remember clearly,
Sure.
like
Sure.
many times. Yeah.
Sure.
So I don't know if it would defeat the purpose or mess it up or something. Like it would mess me
Well,
up.
it takes time, but other than the time delay that it takes to write it down, I think it's totally worth it. I'll give you a for instance. Two friends of mine and myself at a public lunch. I took the bus to get there. I walked a certain route from the bus stop to the location. I did not surpass the location. I did not venture out past where my destination. I did not investigate the general area whatsoever. Why? Because I had a destination. I went there. That's why. It's just that obvious and simple. So we go there. We have lunch. all three of us had the habit of talking with each other after the lunch and having tobacco. Okay. Well, young man brings tobacco, had run out of rolling papers, normally rolled his own, did not realize he was out of papers. My other older friend has an old marijuana pipe that is very clogged with what they call resin or tar. So he offers the young man the old pipe in replacement of papers, right? So me and the older guy, him having a new pipe and myself having factory rolled cigarettes, are sitting there smoking while young friend struggles trying to get, but the pipe is clogged. He's trying to get his tobacco lit, but the pipe is clogged. He can't smoke. So he's taking grass and twigs and all kinds of crap that's not going to work, trying to clean out this old pot pipe, right? Which he smokes pot anyway. So that's a freebie. You know, if he can get it mostly cleared out and get some heat to it, that's a freebie for him. Right. And the old man looks at the young man and says, you know what you really need is a street sweeper wire. So street sweepers have brushes on the bottom. They're steel brushes, steel tines to sweep a street with, for obvious reasons. I don't need to mention the rest of it. And sometimes they fall out, right? And we're all very, very poor people. So we were used to the uses of street sweeper wires, except for myself. I really had never heard of some of this.
I used to collect them as a kid.
So, okay. Question for you before I finish this story. Mm-hmm. How often do you find, if you're even looking for them, a street sweeper wire?
I found 3 of them off the street.
In what kind of distance?
They're usually right off next to the curb.
No, not where are they located? That's obvious. How far from each other? How often do you find one? How much time does it take to find one on average?
Different days. I would say I was going to school there for a couple years, and I really can't remember exactly when. But when I find them, I would grab them because they're fun to play with. You can flick them, and they're really sturdy.
Sure. So you found 3 in what time frame over what?
Couple years,
distance?
maybe 2-3 years.
2 or 3 years. So about 1 per year. In what kind of a distance?
From each other?
Yes.
So how long
that's
of a path
hard
from
to say.
To school, let's say.
I remember having 2 at one time, so those are pretty close, and then 1. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
Well, within 20 miles of each other, within a quarter mile of each other, approximate.
From well, it was walking to school, to the same school, and that was about, I want to say, 12 blocks. And
okay, over the course of 12 blocks, over the course of 3 years, you found 3 street sweeper wires. That's my experience.
Yeah.
They're kind of infrequent.
Yeah.
They don't just fall out all the time. They are not just laying on the road every 10 feet. They're just not. Okay. So the old man said to the young man, what you need is a street sweeper wire. No more than that last syllable had dripped off of his lip, a movie plays in my head. And I'm familiar at this point, having years of experience, of what the movie means. That first of all, it's informational. It's from outside of my experiential range, and it's going to be true in reality. I just know it's going to be true. And here's the movie that plays in my head. Walk away from your friends, go through the gate, take a right and another right away from the bus stop, continue on for about 60 feet. There's a turning lane where the curve happens to create the beginning of the turning lane. There's a street sweeper wire. Here's what it looks like. It's this long. It's got this amount of rust at. It's beside this kind of stick. There's a piece of a paper cup beside it. Those kinds of, and it's like a Hollywood quality movie that plays in my head. Mm-hmm. So having trust in these movies that keep playing in my head, I look at my friend and I say, just a minute, I'll be right back. I take that route, which I had not taken earlier. I go and pick up the street sweeper wire, which was precisely the angle and condition that was in the picture in my head. I bring it back to them, and he uses it to clean out the pipe. The older man, being a crystal rubbing tree hugger, says, good manifestation. I didn't manifest crap. I was shown where something was and went and got it.
Yeah.
Now, I literally would have had to been about 60 feet tall on the path that I did walk, and I wasn't 60 feet tall. in order to see over the curb. And as you said, they're usually up against a curb because of the rotary motion, and there has to be something to stop it. So it's going to be against something. So I know I didn't see it before that. I know I had no knowledge of it. At the time, I did not know they are infrequent. I did a survey after because I always try to disprove my experience in intellectual honesty. I did a survey for the next 3 years of how often you can find one. And I had about your experience, that you might find one in the course of a quarter mile or half a mile, about one per year. That's how often you're going to find them. Why is that? It's because other people value them too, and they pick them up.
Yeah.
So you're in a competition.
What you just told is very weird because it was not scary to me, but it's very fucking highly relatable. And Catherine's right here, and I think she might have been there. I told her this before. When I was taking my buddy Betho at his house, and we're talking about picking locks because he's he's used to be a thief, meth head.
Yeah.
And we're talking out there, and when I was a kid, I would find these fucking street sweeper wire, and he's talking. I think I'm probably about like, I don't know, I was working at a time, so I had to be like 18, 20, around there. And I'm thinking he's like, what makes the best lock picks? I'm like, what's that? He goes, street sweeper wire. You could cut out. They're fucking sturdy as hell. They're badass. When you cut them out, they last forever. I was like, well, go fucking get one then. He goes, dude. And I was like, dude, just come on. And I remember in my head, when I walked out and found it in front of my house when I was a little kid, I walked out of his house, walked over the curb, walked out about 10 feet and found one right on the fucking side of the curb. And I came back. He goes, what the fuck? And I was like, there you go. And
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Out to my head, I thought they were everywhere, and it was right there. And it was just right out of his driveway to the right, about 10.
No, that's precognition of information. Yes. That's what that is.
And to me, it's connected in time all the way to this moment because you both had some weird experience with one of them.
That's
right. So it wasn't your friend's experience that it was there. It wasn't your experience that it was there. It was an experience that it was there. Whose experience? I mean, logically, it's someone else's experience.
Like, can the Holy Spirit do this?
This is what I'm talking about. We experience prayer all the time. We always have.
Yeah, I figured. Now I get what you're saying. It's not us doing it. You believe that only like the power of God could be giving us the information. It's not us going out of our body.
Right. But if something's projected into your head, okay, it's just like you go to the movies, you watch a nice movie, a well-produced movie. Your brain will get so involved in that it can become almost real. In fact, children have a real problem with you get down on your hands and your feet on the floor and you become a bear. That's why they scream and run away. You became a bear. Don't do that too accurately for too long. You'll mess up your kids.
Right.
When someone is doing a great job of explaining something or projecting something into my mind, that is communication. It's in my head, so I perceive it as me. I only have this one brain. But if it can't be my experience, it must be someone else's, i.e. communication. So I ask the question, who's the third person in this scenario? Well, it can't be me. That's impossible.
Yeah, that's trippy.
I know. You know how much valid information I've received in reality from outside of my experiential range, in pictures and movies and ideas in my. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you another one. Although if I told you all of them, we'd be here forever, and you'd get bored hearing it. You'd be like, "Yes, Richard, I get the point. That you've made your case." I won't even tell all of them to you. So I'm watching. Let's see, what was the channel? It was I think Flow State, and one of his guests referred to a certain film piece, which I apparently had never seen. Okay, I just did not know the story. So this UCLA Berkeley student who was black, and this was several years ago, when people were just started to talk about, really applied equality and racism. He made this film about his own observation of the black condition, and that they're so rebellious, they're hurting themselves in effort to find freedom.
Yeah.
So he does this thing where he takes like a length of rope that he got, like a serious rope, like a 1 inch across rope, and he ties a noose in it, and he's got his briefcase and a suit, and he's walking down the street, but he's put this noose around his own neck. And which is a really interesting little film piece, and it got quite famous, unbeknownst to me. And they're talking about this, and I don't know what the hell they're talking about, because they went over, because all of them knew it, and they just like touched on it and just like made references without telling the story. So I'm going to bed that night, and I'm about half asleep, and I'm not meaning to pray or anything like that, but I was really curious about what the hell they were talking. It was bugging me, right? And this picture comes into my head of a silhouette of a person. Now, it's not just any old silhouette. The guy actually had a really, really weird, unusual hairstyle where it's like Bozo the Clown by accident. And it's like curly half inch curls in like an afro, but like Ronald McDonald style, where it's like bald on top and it's like wide at the bottom, about low, centered on his earlobes. And this name pops up, and like I saw the words along with the silhouette of the man, right? A really defined silhouette, almost like bad lighting, or maybe I'm just bad at receiving these things, and it wasn't pushed hard enough on me. But there's these words. There's 2 words. I couldn't repeat them right now at all for anything. But I jumped up out of bed. I opened up the computer, and I Googled these 2 words, and I spelled them fairly well, but there were letters. It was several letters. I couldn't remember all the letters, but I got most of them right, and it auto-corrected. And I hit enter, and up pops a picture of that guy that I just saw.
Oh, wow.
It was his name. Okay? And he was a black liberalist from Africa, thus his funny hairdo and the shape of his skull, which was a little bit squared off, was the hat he was wearing in that particular speech. One of those kind of cornered but very tight skull caps with no brim. One of those hats.
Yeah.
A real African hat. And what's he talking about on the YouTube recording of his speech while he looks like that? He's talking about that movie and explains the whole thing to me.
Oh, shit.
I mean, now come on.
Wow.
Do you think my brain could just make that up?
No, I have one too. I got a word, sleeping or meditating. I Googled it, and it's a real thing, and I don't even know it. I just Googled it. It's called impendium. EMPENDIUM. It's a master work of medical topics and papers.
Okay.
And it's just that's what I got. So I never even looked into it, but maybe I was supposed to.
Well, it's going to reveal something to you that's going to matter.
Yeah, I'll put it in the private chat.
Oh, right on.
This is the word.
I mean, how many times should that happen to me before I just go, this is real? How many times? Once should be enough.
I've accepted it.
So if information comes from an intellect, and all sources of information are always an intellect, not data complexity, but information, that is how we interpret a thing. That always comes from an intellect.
It's how our DNA works. It's information, activates parts of our body.
That's an example. Some people assign that value. So, but as soon as information comes to me and it's falsifiable, I can test it against reality, and it's true, and it's from outside of my experience. That's the very definition of communication. Like, that's what communication is.
Yeah, I'm gonna adopt everything. Like, I'm gonna change some of my variables to it's not even me at all doing it. It's only through the power of God, because I know that's true, and I never set that as a stone.
Well, Jesus says it in no uncertain terms. I do nothing, I know nothing, but through the power of the Father.
Yeah.
He's saying he has communication with the Father.
Yeah, and that's why I believe he had no sin, because to have sinned, it means to be cut off from God, to me.
That's an okay definite. I like that. That's fine.
And that's like, so even to go back to how the Bible speaks in many languages and talks about many topics and dimensions at once, and one of them being the brain.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
am closer to you than your jugular vein. I'm in you. I'm in your head.
and I had something to go off it, but of course I lost it.
Sorry, I shouldn't have
No,
commented. I
it
should
was
have just
me. No, it was gone already.
Okay.
You
Thank
know,
you for your forgiveness.
I ain't tripping.
So, I mean, how many occasions of that do I need before I just accept that this is how things actually work? I mean, it's what was happening to me in accidental prayer and forced prayer onto me. That is, the angel prayed to me without me praying to it. That caused me to look into information theory, that I can speak this way about information theory. And none of this is my theory. This is just the fact of the reality.
So in prayer, what used to happen to me, I don't know, I'd put my hands together every time, and I would get the energy in my hands doing like pure intercessory, like I was very pure at this time. And there were no distractions. It was all just, I was like 19, 20 years old. And my hands, like I could probably still do it. I haven't tried in ages, but my hands would get like heavy and like feel like the size of the world. And it's the same feeling I'd get from the superpowers that I had in my dreams when I'd have night terrors at 5 years old from a
Yeah.
massive rock. It like my hands would like, I'm in my head, eyes closed, intercessory prayer, not even trying to think about it, but it's happening. I feel like the heaviest but lightest, but most massive, but like dense, but light at the same time in my hands, and it goes through my whole body. Feels like I'm heavy, but it feels like I'm being pulled up.
Actually, I have some idea what you're talking about there.
And it's the same as when I'd have night terrors as a kid, where my brain is super powerful or something, and it's too much. But in prayer, I was calm. So I don't know if I'm trying to wonder if it's connected to like a higher perception we have in our brain that we're just not activating, and it's there.
You know, for a while, like, I don't know if they're predictions or what you want to call them, but I always thought I was almost in a weird way cursed because it seemed to be associated with death in me sometimes. Like, not only did my little brother and I knew that he was going to get killed, we both picked out two people that were going to do it. One of them did it. And the night that he died, I used to have this dream. My brothers and I would ride our bicycles in the sky. We all meet up in this field, the grass field, huge field, like Windows desktop. And we all in the middle, and then I wake up. We like all go in the middle, smile on our bikes, you know? And then I had a dream. I was flying around my bike, and I landed there, and it was just me and James. Well, Alex was gone. And the next, when I went to work that day, my wife calls me up and says, hey, Alex has been shot and is dead.
That was the worst phone call I ever had to make.
You remember that dream that I told you?
That must be hard.
Yeah, and not only that, it's my father. We got into, he's a real jerk, and he pulled guns on me and this and that, and we got into this huge argument. Last time I seen him, a huge argument where he swung at me, grabbed his fist, called him a little bitch and all this, had to get a restraining order on him. And he's talking a bunch of crap. My older brother was talking, to me, and I was like, Dad's gonna do something really fucking stupid to make me feel guilty. Watch, and he's gonna do the stupidest thing in the world you think of, and he ODs on my birthday. Yeah, but there's a funny one. My buddy Bethel, the same guy with the wire, was over my pad, had a condo, and he plays guitar.
Wait, the same guy with the wire. Oh, the street sweeper wire.
Yeah,
Okay.
the meth head. Well, he was. He's good now, I think. But he plays guitar very well, and I was just wanting to learn, and I didn't know anything. So he taught me like Johnny Cash's a quick song of Johnny Cash. We're just playing it and we're messing it all up. And I was like, dude, we just killed Johnny Cash. He died the next day. And he calls me up. He goes, dude, you killed Johnny Cash. I was like, what? He goes, you called it. I was like, fucker. Yeah, that's a trippy one. But you can see it's like almost a weird way in my head. It's like, I don't know why. It's kind of scary in a weird way when I was thinking about it in certain ways. Yeah. Oh, when my brother was shot and killed, he was shot on May 15th. He was buried on May 19th, my birthday. So it was like, oh, sorry for your loss. Happy birthday. Sorry about your brother. Happy birthday.
Yeah,
Very fucking strange day.
that's so weird.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
It's like, it's really weird, yeah.
And then the next day or the day before, we went to Holly's.
Oh, Holly, she was a good old friend of mine. Married my cousin for a while. They had a kid. Sweet little kid. The same day, or I think it was the same day.
It was,
The next day.
yeah, the next day. I think.
Or the same day, but like later on in the
Yeah.
day. She drugs, ghetto. I grew up in the ghetto. You know, it was a really nice girl, half black, half white girl named Holly Montgomery. We kind of flirted with each other a little bit, but you know, back before I was with Kat.
You better say that.
and I mean, she was shot in the face with a shotgun, and they buried her. I
Wow.
think that later on the afternoon after my brother's funeral. So I went from my brother's funeral over to Holly's funeral to say sorry to Bear as his nickname yeah. It was a pretty sad day.
Yeah.
She was a nice girl. She's just
I
had
mean,
trouble with drugs.
Okay, do I know the mechanism in the brain and what parts of the brain are involved? There's some speculation in that.
Mm-hmm.
But I know information comes from an intellectual, and an intellect requires a brain.
Mhm.
Okay? Now, I don't know what part of their brain is communicating with what parts of my brain. I don't know the mechanism. I don't know how it mechanically works. But it can be proven that it can't be me. So it must be working somehow. And I could get all, I could speak in deepities and speculate on these kinds of things. I mean, people have been heard saying, "Oh, there's a collection of information from the quantum level where these purposeful, anomalous acts add up to an experience." And that's what the brain is actually doing there. And maybe that's the answer. I don't know. But I have to say we don't know. That's the truth of it.
Yep.
My
It's
favorite.
really. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, you first.
No,
It's
no, no.
just-
You'll forget.
You sparked something. My favorite thing so far that's like positive that came from like this power or whatever it is. I don't understand it fully. Obviously, this one felt like it was more me. That's why. But I went out of my body on acid, and I did like 4 tabs of like some. I think there were 400 each. Some like thick white paper with crystals in it.
Anyway, you were wasted on acid.
I was out of body skateboarding. I could see the layout perfectly, like exactly how it was, and I'm still going. Like how he said he was like still pulling the glass out. I was still
Yeah.
going, and the whole next day aligned perfectly, like a movie, like disgusting, like synchronicity that wouldn't end for 24 hours.
Okay.
That's a long
It was
trip.
beautiful.
Wow.
Well, here's the problem. It's a long drug-induced trip that reflected the actuality to come.
Like it's like I went out of body, planned something for myself, and then somehow did it the next day when I woke up.
But there was no one else involved, and no
No.
one else had influences on it, and you could just repeat the experience. Or were there other things that were unpredictable, other intelligences
Unpredictable.
interacting, and they did their part too?
They did their part too. We met up somehow, and they aligned and
But you can't
showed
make
time.
that up.
I could, the story, I could make it quick and give the best details, but
What I'm saying is you can't make that up because your
No.
imagination doesn't control other people's actions.
exactly, unless it does, and we manifest something, and then it takes 2 to like reach that road or something. At least.
Well,
2.
then they should have a like experience
Yes.
where they precognitively had that experience and decided to play it out on purpose. Was that the case?
It almost seems that I could have been the only one that's the case to be there for me only.
Okay, so since solipsism is impossible to prove or disprove, I want to go ahead and dismiss solipsism as an answer. And I want to say they were their own intellects doing whatever they'd wished. And they did things that you could not have predicted the day before in your experience. And yet your experience indicated what they would do, and they did it. Well,
I
that
didn't
is
know they were going to do it.
That's pre-knowledge.
This was different. This was like pre-planned. Somehow I followed my spirit after I planned it.
You followed your spirit, but what made them follow your spirit?
And show up there? I don't know, maybe...
I mean, seriously, man.
It is a deep story. You'd be like, okay, that is like a movie. You can make a movie out of it.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I've had like experiences,
Details
but
might help.
See, but okay, so if I had a scenario in my head and I played out to the best of my ability, I might perceive that I played it out perfectly. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what that's not going to do. That's not going to make a tree fall and be in my way. It's not going to make my friend say a certain thing in a certain order that complies. It's not going to, that's just not part of the deal when I'm imagining something.
Unless we have some sort of power to change time, and God is giving us the prior knowledge to do so.
Okay, but then you have to take away the free will of your friends and have yourself as the only free will, which makes it again solipsistic.
I don't know the meaning. I've never heard that definition.
Oh, solipsism. The idea that there's, okay, because it's unlikely that there would ever be a brain, because brains are highly complex, you agree?
Pretty well.
Then the best explanation for any existence of any brain is there's only one brain. That's Occam's razor.
So like we're in a dream and we're all one consciousness and it ripples, and if
you get it,
you could imagine your surroundings to be perfect.
Now, here's the part that you didn't extrapolate out. Either A, you are the only brain, and everyone else is part of your imagination, which is true solipsism. Or there's like light solipsism that you just described. We're all instantiations of that one brain. None of us actually exist. All of this is a figment of the imagination of that brain.
I mean, I've had weird theories since I've been in a coma that I could still be in a coma and like an outside source could be speaking. Like,
let me say something to you that will help you get rid of that.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, in theory.
No, I want to seriously help you get rid of that idea and eliminate that as possible.
Okay. I wouldn't say it exists still. I just meant, anyways.
So you said sometimes I get the feeling.
No, it was like when I first got into a coma and I was out. Not anymore.
Oh, okay. All right, you're already done with it. I won't bother.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I didn't know if you needed to still or if you wanted to.
No, it doesn't apply if it doesn't apply.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I would have helped you. I know what help people with that.
Yeah, it was just like a really deep theory, like, because I would think solace, however you say it, like similar, but I never heard it before. So those theories would tie into the being in a coma, and like it would, I'd add anything up to see if paper lines up.
Sure.
I've made equations. I had the FBI at my house because I'm just wanted to figure something out on paper, and they're like, "Well, you can't exactly just do that." So I consider that like an achievement in Grand Theft Auto, like 100,000 points. Have the FBI show up at your house.
What?
On Grand Theft Auto, I got I think I'm number 47 or 43. I can't remember. On 100% completion of Grand Theft Auto 4, they sent me a key to the city and a little certificate.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I had no idea they did stuff like that.
The hardest part is finding all the pigeons and shooting them. You had to find 100 pigeons across the whole map and shoot them all.
Dang.
That's part of the 100% completion, yeah.
Yeah.
Pigeons are like cockroaches. You only see a percentage of them.
It's true.
If you see one, there's 30 you don't.
Right. Oh, yeah. My sister has such a roach infestation in her house. It was disgusting. I mean,
Why is it disgusting? I want to know something other than a social construct. Why they are disgusting?
oh well, I think it was just the amount. Like, if you could imagine, she has such a roach problem.
Wait a minute. If one roach is not disgusting, then 10,000 roaches is also not disgusting.
I don't know.
No, tell me about the social construct that makes a roach disgusting. Because I'll tell you what it isn't. It isn't they bite people.
Right.
They don't. It isn't that they carry diseases that people can get. They don't. Can they track undesirable bacteria, etc.?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they can track that. But if they had a clean, let me give you a for instance. Let's say you laboratory raised a 1 or 1,000 cockroaches. The environment was kept clean. There was only clean food that they could accept. Say, for instance, complex sugar water with vitamins. And would they be disgusting then?
No, they'd be pets.
Right. Well, okay. Well, then it's not the roach that's disgusting.
I guess it's if you were there and you saw what was going on, it was. I mean, it's just horror. I don't know. I guess that try to find the right word that could be broken down to what it's not. Shocking.
Okay. So we are repulsed, probably because of our ancestry and some kind of an Darwinistic like evolutionary process,
like snakes,
to find them disgusting.
Yeah,
that's probably true, but it's not actually. So. It's not actual. It's just what was necessary to get to where we are, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, part of the process.
Like before we could identify different kinds of snakes from each other, we developed a fear of all snakes because some snakes will kill you. Yep. Well, I'm sorry. Why be afraid of a grass snake that can't hurt you at all?
Right.
But we still are.
Because at the time we didn't know what was and wasn't. Everything was.
Precisely. For a really long time, we didn't. It's just survival. You know. So our brains are. In fact, you can. They've done tests with infants that will react to an inanimate object that is snake shaped like as soon as it moves. The baby will freak out.
Yep, I saw that, and even like a lot of animals still have that reaction. Chimpanzees, cats, toward snake object. But
so it's not that a cockroach is disgusting. It's that we have experienced cockroaches in our long distant ancestral past where they were disgusting.
Can you repeat that last part? I'm sorry.
It's just our ancestry. It's our genetic predisposition, and our. I mean, we still have some amount, although they seem weak, and I think a person can develop them, but we still do have some instincts.
Oh yeah, definitely. It seems to be like Pandora's box thing. Snakes, spiders, and bugs seem to be the icks. Well,
that's
of the
interesting.
World.
Now, why is that Pandora's box like? Because I don't know that story of Pandora's box.
Oh, when I first read it, I was in 7th grade, and I read the story of Pandora's box, where the whole thing where Odin gave his eye to keep an eye on the world, and his daughter Pandora gave her a box. And in this book, it says that it releases all the evils in the world, and it says in the book, well, all the wickedness and what I can remember, type of wickedness and harmful things that could hurt you and kill you in the world. When she releases, like, I think snakes and things like that.
But also love.
On that story, I don't remember reading that part of that. In that part I read in that book at that time, I don't remember any part about love. It was just a releasing of wickedness and evils upon the world. Maybe it was just what they had.
I need to review it again.
I'm not sure. That was a long time ago.
Maybe that was like a dumbed down kids version of the story.
I think so. Could have been.
But my recollection is that all human experience is kept in Pandora's box, and those experiences had never happened before. So when she unlocks the box and opens it up, she's flooded with all this new experience, which takes her off guard. And she doesn't react. She's just shocked by it. She's just experiencing all these new things, and disgust and love and nausea and comfort and sexual pleasure and all these things simultaneously. So she's a little set back on her heels and doesn't know what to do and can't think about it for a minute. But then when her senses come to her and she sees the quote unquote mistake of it, she slams closed the lid and captures only one thing in the box. And I find that this is true. I think if you, I've investigated this, I think you'll find that it's true.
I think I remember this part, yeah.
That what she captures is one human emotion still left in the box. And that human emotion, and this ought to make you a little bit misty, it does me, is hope. Hope is still kept in the box. It's locked till the end of time. Which is why if you go on the street, or if I ask Isaac right now, define hope, he will give me the definition of faith. Because we don't know what hope is. We haven't experienced it.
On some level, yeah, it's really hard to define.
I'm serious. Go ask 30 people on the street. What's hope mean? And they'll define faith.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Pretty much.
Look it up in a dictionary. It's circular. One defines the other, defines the other.
Well, if hoping is at the end, because one hope for the end.
Okay, so here's what I received in prayer, the answer of what hope is, but I have to tell it in a story because we can't experience it. So I can give you no actual experience of hope because we haven't had it. So obviously I can't do it, right? But here's the story that makes an example of hope. You walk along a railroad tracks and you come to a tunnel into a mountain. And you look into it and all you can see is black.
Yep. But
knowing what railroad tracks are, that is, knowing what religion is, something like that, a belief system is, you know that the belief system results in the tracks coming out the other side of the mountain. Right? So you walk along the tracks, eventually you're in TD, total darkness. You literally can't see anything. And you're just feeling your way along the wall, having faith that at some point someone did complete this darn tunnel. Although now you can see neither end of it. So you're just trudging along, and that's faith. And as you keep trudging along, as time passes by, or the earth passes by, this experience passes by and comes to the end, you see the signs of end times. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that assurity that it does exist would be hope. But right now, we see neither end of the tunnel.
Got it. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
So we trudge along professing there will be an end to the tunnel because I'm still going the same way.
I've seen a little bit of hope, I guess, then. Experience somehow.
Me too, which is why I'm able to tell that story. But that was received in prayer. It's not my experience. I mean, I believe in an assurity, not a faith. I think that faith keeps you trudging along, feeling the wall. And I believe that's all good. That's the only good that faith is. It's all it does. It can't do more.
I'm not sure about that.
Because faith doesn't allow you to see the end of the tunnel.
I find faith to be involved in what we're talking about in like outer body or visions or.
Why is that faith?
Well, you have to have faith to write it down, right? So that you have
you have to have
think that it'll
you have
happen.
to have faith to have justification for the experience, but the faith is not the experience.
I don't know how to say it then.
Well, maybe I'm just understanding you poorly.
No, I'm not saying it good.
Well, then I have to ask the question: why is it so hard to say?
Because I don't know, faith. I just see faith more than what you're saying it could do. I don't know. I'm trying to think how I'd say it, because it is outside of logical like words. Like faith to me is like a superpower. Like faith is like a manifestation almost. You have to like see something, like imagine it, believe it's going to happen, and then once you see it come to fruition, that is faith. And it's like super.
Okay, so you trust information that's falsifiable. We all do.
No, faith is an inner thing, like an inner vision.
Okay, so you feel you have a trust in falsifiable information. We all do.
I don't use the falsifiable information. I don't get that.
You
What do you
just
mean?
said you tested against reality and it's true. That's falsification.
What does falsification mean?
Well, in the scientific breakdown of falsification, I have a microphone. You're hearing me. Thereby, I really do have a microphone. It's not a hollow assertion. The thing exists and it can be shown.
I don't know. I've just found faith, I guess, in like simple things like knowing that God's spirit can go before me and to make the thing that I am believing, if it is part of his will, that it will come true.
Okay, so you put the words know and faith in the same sentence, in the same idea.
What did I say? No. What did I say?
You said you have faith that this thing is known.
I don't think I might have heard me wrong. I don't know that I said that.
These things are really difficult. I'm not saying they're easy.
Yeah. Okay. So faith, what did I say? Faith to me would be envisioning something, knowing that God's spirit will go before you, do it if you follow, listen, and it's part of his will. That's what.
Okay. How did you
Faith
get
to
to
me is-
know that God's spirit would go before you? How did you get to know that?
Isn't that one of the prayers? Like, spirit go before me. I think it's in the text somewhere.
We can quote the text, but why is the text true?
I've experienced it.
Okay, so you had an experience that was true I'm going to say the same thing again here. Knowledge is falsifiable, true in reality, from outside of your experience. That's why you know God's spirit will go before you, is because it's happened before, and it really did happen.
Many times, and ones stand out, but I mean, it would happen to me like that's how I live for a long time.
Okay, that's
Until
totally
it's been that
justifiable. I get
things
that, but that's not
from an
faith.
outside source stopped it, mainly from an outside source. Weird.
Okay, faith would be that it's going to continue. Knowledge would be that it happened in the past. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, so you trust or have faith in it continuing.
Yes.
But you have knowledge of the past, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That experiential knowledge.
Okay, now show me the hope.
That it's happened before and it still happens.
That's faith.
The hope would be, I don't know. I guess that I don't have a definition if that doesn't work.
Right. You're just doing what I said you'd do. You're defining hope as faith.
Yeah, but faith. Okay, I had
really. Nobody has experienced faith. I'm just telling you, man.
You mean experienced
They haven't.
hope?
I'm sorry, they haven't experienced hope. They have experienced faith.
Just making sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, you're right. I reversed it. My brain does that sometimes.
Me too.
Yeah, I was trying to think about the word hope itself and where I could put it in a place where I would use it, where I would think it would work best. But then I was thinking the only thing I think of when it would work best, and my thing is when I had my business or opened up a business, I'd, hope that I would get customers. But the business is there. There's people out there that need it. So I don't know if that's really hoping or not. Or it's just
I
knowing?
think that's a variant of the word and a way to accurately use it that I'm not talking about.
Okay.
It's like the difference between pride and pride. Pride can be like
Yeah.
a
Feeling or
selfish, unjustifiable hubris,
mm,
or pride can be I do a good job because I think that's the right thing to do, and then I look back and I did a good job.
right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, well that's two different things.
Yeah.
And the word hope is like that too. Yeah, some words have multiple definitions.
Mhm.
Hope is one of them. But the definition I'm talking about is an assurity of the future. Like the Bible says, I know of my intent. This quote by God from God through an angel. I know of my intent for you to give you a future and give you a hope. Give future tense hope, as in you don't have it,
Mm-hmm.
which makes Pandora's box true. It's true. Now, how the hell did somebody write that 5,000 years ago?
Mm.
How'd they know it wouldn't become untrue in 30 years? In 300 years, how did they know?
They probably had the
Because the
same
claim
discussion we
is
had,
to
and they
the
wrote
end
it
of the
down.
earth.
Sorry.
Well, the claim in the story is to the end of human experience here, there will be no hope. Well, that's quite a damn claim now, ain't it?
It makes sense. Yeah.
Like, hope is a sign of that time. When people gain hope, the time is at hand. Oh my gosh.
I feel like I've got hope.
Yeah, you keep saying that, and then you define it as faith.
I don't know. Feels like hope.
Well, you have a strong faith. Good for you. That makes life easier.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think it is. I'm gonna
Okay.
believe.
Okay, just find some definitions that you can agree with on faith and hope, that you do experience hope, and that it's not circular.
I'll
It's not
think about it
referring back to the
in a
faith.
couple days. I'll try to make it make sense.
And I won't hold you to that. If your brain lets it go, I'm not going to be insulted. I know
No,
how
it's
brains are.
I like thinking.
Me too. Can you tell?
Yeah.
Is it obvious?
No. Just kidding. Probably. Or it's either you still think or you have.
Oh, I want to continue to progress down this path. I think that it's
Yeah.
unacceptable for me to have a mirror dimly lit. I don't like that.
Yeah, I find the whole
Mhm.
like intellectual gaining of like I don't even know like layers on a wheel that you could understand that like make full circle and it keeps making more, you understand more. I think it's a path that you can take and people I'll try to explain it to them and they think you kind of don't do that in your brain. I'm like, I don't know. Because when I got the magnet treatment, it seemed like 10 years of research got wiped.
Well, that's not implausible.
Yeah.
That 10 years of actual research did get wiped. That's not implausible.
Oh,
Our
yeah,
brains are electromagnetic.
exactly.
Okay, when we
I didn't
put
know
that
what I was
skull
doing.
cap on people to sense their brain waves and such, it's not probes stuck down into the flesh of the brain. That's not it. It's picking up radio signal at the surface. Well,
That
then you're
one is
producing
fine. I was
radio
fine when they
signal.
scanned it. Then they went to change it. That's when I didn't understand what I was doing. They told me it would help my memory. That's all I know. That's all I did.
Well, maybe it did, but how would you know?
I didn't. Of course, I
Because
trusted it. Oh,
you
they
have
know what they're
one
doing. This is
experience.
science, man.
When we have one experience, there's nothing to compare it to within self,
Yeah,
which is
and I
why
trust,
consensus is important.
and it feels weird. I mean, they probably just fucked up, but it feels like they knew. Like they didn't like me being all high energy and be in trouble or not like doing whatever they do or I don't know.
Well, I really don't know what they did to you.
They fried. Because, like, I don't know, I've had a lot of trauma in our bloodline, and two of my cousins got it, and I have a feeling they couldn't handle all the energy, and they wiped, and oh, I'm better now. And then they're like, oh, you should do it. You've been in a coma. And I'm just like, oh, you guys, it helped? Like, what is this magic? Like, sounds cool. And I like electricity and frequency. I don't know. Like, I believed, I trusted it. But, like,
Yeah.
I was just kind of sold the idea. It wasn't my original thought at all.
Right. Yeah,
Not one.
we've put people on a brain scan and wired it to outside of a magnetic proof room and a soundproof room, and then put conductors around the people that would make magnetic current, and watched brain states change from being in different magnetic environments where the magnetism was at different frequencies, at different angles, and we've seen the brain change because of magnets outside of it.
They did like 10 with a grounding cable even.
Oh, lovely.
Didn't know.
Well,
So
I
I
have to vouch.
was
I
on
have to vouch
shrooms
for
so long, I didn't notice.
friends. I'm sorry. Go ahead and say it.
Sorry, I was on shrooms and beer for so long I didn't notice till I quit. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't notice that it was the same feeling I had the day I did it. I just have been covering it up.
Yeah. It's a survival technique.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about going to get a beer. I'm supposed to go get my dog some food. We're out, so
Yeah, I have to go to a grocery store sometime today.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's 4 o'clock in the evening where
Yeah,
I am. No,
it's
that's
been
how
a
long
while.
the stream's been running.
It's been going on for a while.
one. It's only 1:15. I'm okay.
Oh, you thought that was the time?
Yeah, my brain made an error.
But yeah.
I was gonna say I need to do more drugs. I think I'm the most sober man in the internet sometimes.
Yeah.
You're not going to be more
Yeah.
sober than me, bro, no matter what you do.
I do dabble in marijuana once when I can get it. It's about it, really.
I can't even handle that.
No,
I can't handle anything.
It helps me. It doesn't help me think, but I guess I don't know. It's just it keeps my mind from scattering around. It keeps me focused on one thing
Okay.
or several things rather than 100.
Right.
Yeah. I'm trying to get my hands on a neurotropic.
Like when I did like ayahuasca and LSD with the brother-in-law and a friend, all I got was just like a nice marijuana high for a good long while, or a really sweaty weird one. But I didn't get anything other than could already put in my head. Where I have these buddies that one's freaking out, one's all paranoid, like, dude, calm down. The other one's just like looking at the clouds, saying they're chasing him. I'm like, what's wrong with these guys? It's I don't know if I just have a very like high tolerance to it, but I think this might be what it is.
Well, you could have a high tolerance chemically. They could have a low tolerance chemically. You could have been experiencing somewhat
already
the power of suggestion, that in your mind you suggested to yourself this isn't going to do hardly anything, where they suggested it's going to be really effective.
Well, they all suggested it would, and it was for them, but for me it was in a weird way. I knew it wasn't. I could
Well,
almost
maybe you're so critical that you don't like the placebo effect, and you fought it with all you had.
I think another thing too. I think in a weird way it might be even genetics, because I'm native and they grew up on that stuff. Their kids were smoking that shit when they were 5-6 years old. So I wonder if it's just embedded in me, where it's just natural for me if I do it, it does calm me a little bit and I feel a little relaxed, but it doesn't send me to the moon. And I think it might be a genetic thing, because like a weird thing is I didn't get a DNA test, and my daughter did, and on the father's side it shows a lot of Northern American, Native American, a lot of Spaniard, and then I have 1%. Well, she has on my side 1% Butu, African, East African, so
Yeah.
a black gene somewhere, And then she's also, I think, 1 or 4% Jewish, which makes me part Jewish. So I'm trying to figure
Actually,
out. I'm trying.
by
I was genetics.
bloodline, that makes you Jewish.
Sorry.
By bloodline, if your mom's Jewish, you're Jewish by definition, according to the Jews.
On my dad's side, on my dad's side,
Oh, your
because
dad's
my mom's.
side.
Yeah, it must be on my father's side because he's half German, half native, and the German side they come from the lower east or western side of England. So it's really weird. I just try to put all this stuff together. I think it's a lot of genetics has to do with it. It's weird. When I was a little kid, I don't know why, but maybe it was because watching like history and stuff like that. I would always think that I get my intelligence from my German side.
You know, it also could be that you just have an unnatural, an abhorrent lack of receptors for that chemical on your cells. Maybe it's just not as strong for you as it would be for others.
Mm-hmm. Right. I wonder how that like works out in a weird way because it does seem to follow, like almost like dog breeds. Some certain dog breeds are smarter than others and have certain traits. So you see that in humans too.
Well, yeah, you can't process things you can't absorb, and if your cells can't absorb the thing, then you can't process it, and it's either going to be stagnant and poisoning, or it's going to just pass on through.
Mm-hmm.
And from what you're describing, it just passed on through, most of it.
Mm. Yeah,
but that would depend on how many receptors you have per cell. You know, maybe you're just very low on those receptors.
Could be.
Now, for me, like I have too many marijuana receptors, and even bad marijuana is way too strong for me.
Oh wow!
And they call it allergic, but what it really means is I'm too good at absorbing it.
Yeah. I'm like Huey Lewis in the news. I need a new drug, one that won't quit. Nah. I'm fine with life. It's enough drug. It's all the drug I really need, you know?
Sometimes I do not need ayahuasca to have an out-of-body experience.
No.
I do not need... I mean, I've already experienced ego loss, out-of-body, information so many darn times. I just don't need the drugs.
In a weird way, I think the drugs don't really give me anything more. I get more out of this. The drugs are just kind of like recreational to like play around with for me. In a weird,
Can I say something that's literally true that could be taken as figurative? Man, you're insensitive.
Yeah, I get that. I get told I'm pure logic and I don't have. Yeah, I get told that quite a bit.
Yeah, but I'm saying you're chemically insensitive.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right on. It might transpire across the whole board then.
You have an inner voice?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Many.
I was going to say, I've only met one person. I met one person ever. He's like, I don't have an inner voice, bro.
I met one person who had inner voice, and it was really disturbing them. And it had different personalities. It had evil and good personalities, which makes sense to me in prayer and demons and angels. But it was so disturbing to him that he was doing poorly in school and was very distracted in everyday life. And they took him to a psychologist who assigned him a psychotropic medication to deaden the voice in his head, and it worked. And he weaned himself off of it without informing his parents or his doctor because he said, according to him, quote, I can't feel people. And I believe that's the truth. I believe our ability of prayer is amongst other intellectuals, cognitive, that have brains, and to shut off prayer is to lose that link to other humans. Makes sense, doesn't it?
That's how it feels what they did to me.
Oh,
Like
by the way, it's
gone.
like that lack of empathy for others is definitional psychopathy.
Well, it's weird because it's not like it's weird. I find myself caring too much for others to where I would find myself wanting to destroy everybody just to stop it.
I've had that problem due to prayer too. Let me tell you something you may not have realized, V. You have an internal switch, and by your will, you can turn it on and off. And it's that feeling of being cold or insensitive for a time. That I can shut off my emotions, my empathy for others, and you can, and everyone can,
Mhm.
is just declining prayer.
Yeah.
Now,
As you were saying
if you
that,
perceive that you don't have that switch, then you won't exercise it, and you'll be bombarded and driven crazy and end up on a street corner talking to a demon
yeah, that's I've
because
been
they
known to shout in
don't
the
know
street
there's a
sometimes.
switch. Yeah.
I find the switch, but sometimes sometimes you want it on.
Yeah, me too. When I'm in
Yeah.
prayer and conversations like this, like last night with DT on Brojo's show, you can go watch the ending of it. I'm not pulling your chain. He says, "Oh, I assign value to this." I don't know what he said, Aztec or Toltec or something like that I don't know crap about. This Toltec religious idea that, and then he said something. And I immediately went into prayer and said, well, if that's true, if they mean what I think they mean from this very short sentence, this very short idea, I said, then the Toltecs would also be saying blah, 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 necessarily true, blah, 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 your experience, my experience, blah, blah, blah. I said all this stuff, it just came out of me. And then he goes and looks it up for a better definition, and it's everything that I'd said.
Oh, wow.
Now, does that mean I studied a Toltec certain specific tenet of their ancient religion? No, I didn't. I just asked the question, what's this? And all that came to me, and I just said it. I mean, that's ridiculous. How could I possibly know that and expound on it to that length? What are you going to do? Accuse me of being the smartest human on the planet? I don't think so.
Yeah, that's pretty trippy.
That's pretty much your options. Either I'm praying, or I can extrapolate out with such immense accuracy from almost no information that I'm the smartest human on the planet, and I don't think that's true.
Hey, can you give me 6 random numbers under 99, please?
Actually, I would decline. I could, but I don't think that's necessarily good for a person.
Right.
Like before I would pray that for you, I'd like to ask you your theory about leveraging finances. I'd have to ask you about your savings theory, your investment theory,
Right.
your tithing theory. I'd have to know all that before I could even feel morally correct for asking.
Right. Yeah, you never know where it's going to go. You're right.
Precisely. Like maybe I'm hurting people.
You
I don't
want to
ever want
contribute
to
to
hurt.
something wicked. or
No,
anything.
definitely not. Do you know how many times people win the lotto and end up dead?
Oh, quite a lot of times, either by themselves or somebody else for it. Yeah.
I mean, it'd be absolutely irresponsible to enable someone to win the lottery if it was going to kill them. I mean, what am I, God, to decide what your experience on this earth, the time limit of your experience, should be? And I wouldn't be surprised at all if earnestly and trustingly I prayed for that and received a big middle finger from an angel. I'm not telling you that.
Yep.
I mean, I've gotten a negative answer, not just a lack of answer, which Christians profess. I've got a negative answer. I've gotten the answer, no, you can't know that. Sorry.
I got to call. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
The cat's on my phone. Freaking cat.
In fact, as a matter of respect, there's certain things I've learned I shouldn't ask and I don't.
I was
Do you know why
meditating.
James? Go ahead.
I'm back.
It was just kind of scary. But of course, I was on a hallucinogen mushroom. But I was meditating, and I could have sworn I was hovering over like Israel or somewhere, and it was getting bombed at night, and I could see the whole sky was like an electrical grid, and that's how the missiles would fly. So weird.
When was that?
It was like 2 weeks before, it really broke out, but there were already some stuff going on. I don't know if it was just in my brain or what.
Oh, I had the same thing, and they were
Hard to
talking
say.
about it. I saw a vision. I saw Robotech in my head, and Robotech, the anime, way back when I was a kid. When they launch missiles out, they launch them towards the ship, and they just like boom, 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 all like sporadically. And then when I saw that happen, I was like, "Whoa, that's kind of trippy." It's just like that. It's almost like the cartoon.
Yeah, I was like tripping really hard. I was trying to stop them with my mind. Weird.
Mm. That's a pretty cool technology they have. Well, we have that too. We all contributed to that defense system, which is really awesome. I mean, dang, they're probably just testing it out. This could have
Yeah.
been all made just to test out this new weapons weaponry we have.
Well, a lot of the missile tracking and stuff is pre-AI, basically.
Oh yeah, yep.
Like it's thinking like in time, adapting to it.
You know, nerdy, just because it wouldn't hurt anybody, and although this is probably not for you great testimony, I did and I asked, and the answer that came was yes, the placebo effect will become ineffective as soon as the people it was affecting forget it. That's when it'll run out.
You know, I think when another thing when it comes to the marijuana stuff and that is when I first started smoking when I was a kid. A lot of people were like, "Oh, I gotta get high again. I gotta get high again." In my head, I was like, "I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna hold on to this. I'm gonna use it." So maybe it's almost like I don't. It doesn't affect me as much because it's already. I keep it in a weird way, thinking that it's there already. I don't need. It's not that I don't need it. It does relax me a little bit, but other than that, there's nothing other than a calming feeling from it. Nothing else.
Well, here's what's interesting about what you just said to my mind
Mm-hmm.
is that I was talking about cell receptors
Mm-hmm.
of chemical chains because chemical chains have a physical form,
Mm.
and there has to be a certain shape hole in a cell for it to absorb the chemical,
Mm-hmm.
or else it just repels it. And the reason that we have these receptors is because every of these chemical combinations that they're imitating, which we call drugs, can be produced by the brain. That's why
Mm-hmm.
you have the receptors.
Mm-hmm.
So can I just choose to be high?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
I stretch and I meditate, and sometimes I put myself in that state.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people do it by exercise, by strenuous exercise that's repetitive, such as running.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get
Yeah.
high. Well,
Runner's
that's
high.
because they want to be high from the running.
My
That's
daughter
why.
has that. She says that's the only high she gets is from running. She said the other day
Fine.
too. She's just mentioned that.
Activating back here, you can activate these muscles and do it.
Oh, for the calming effect.
No, you release chemicals like neurotropic and weird like enlightening feelings. Like it's a practice to squeeze part of your brain in there and release it into your spine. And I used to do it on command whenever and after the brain thing, it's harder.
That's so
Even
funny.
Even that little thing I found out that even like it feels like a spiritual war.
Mm.
You know, it's really interesting because I'm sure by your experience, what you just said is absolutely true, and I'm not doubting the experience whatsoever. But let me
In high school. I said, "Yo, you guys, I figured out how to release chemicals down my spine, and I get high." And they're like, "What are you
brother,
talking about?"
let me free you from the physical practice that you're describing.
Yeah.
Here's how I'm going to do that. There are no muscles inside your brain case, and your skull is too hard to compress your brain case. You
There's
are
something
actually doing
right.
it with just your brain, not the muscles.
That makes sense then. But it is a real thing I looked up later.
No, it's a
after
real
I already knew
thing.
it.
It's a real thing, but there's no reason to have to do the physical practice. You can do it just because you will it.
But I would like do it, stimulate it, feel it, get the goosebumps, and like do it when I want. Like
Yes, you are doing it when
you.
you want. That's true.
Yeah. It would. Yeah. It's weird.
And it's like squeezing it out of your brain. That's a fine descriptor.
Yeah, I did use the word release, I think.
Releasing it out of your brain. Yeah. It's a purposeful, willful thing that you can practice as you want. But I promise you it has nothing to do with muscles on your head.
Yeah, before I had the magnets, I could do it easier. Now it's like it barely works. It's weird.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's actually, it feels like they took everything. It's hard to explain.
I have a donut-shaped hole inside my actual body, writes Nerdy. Yes, most of us do, sweetie.
I actually have a bald spot on my head, and I got shot there in a dream.
What?
Super weird. It's right there.
Oh,
It's a perfect circle.
Oh wow.
I'm born
well,
with
it's
it.
real close to a perfect circle anyway,
Yeah.
and it's really
Yes.
it's really pronounced. There's just no hair there.
And it goes up. It was born with it. Yeah. I was also born with a cyst in my brain. Apparently.
I'm supposing that means benign. It wasn't growing.
Yeah,
It
they
wasn't
said like
affecting other things other than being there physically in pressure.
arachnoid cyst or something like that.
A what?
Arachnoid?
That mean? What does that
Spider?
mean? It has
Something
multiple legs.
I don't know. It's like they said some weird ass word. Like
Okay. Well, you should have to look it up and get back with me if you recall it.
I'd have to ask my mom what they said.
Okay. Or look at medical records.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's also not in my medical records that in the hospital they gave me a drug that said I might lose my sense of smell. By the way, I lost my sense of smell. The doctors told me this as I'm almost in a coma. I wake up with no smell, and I asked them about it, and they said, no, we never gave you anything. What are you talking about? And then I'm like, and I talked to other doctors. I'm like, is there a chemical out there that could take your sense of smell away that they'd give me to go into a coma or something? And I've never talked to one doctor that says there's a chemical, and I have a specific memory of them saying 60% chance you lose your smell, 40% chance you don't. I said, I like those odds. I believe in God. And I remember telling them to synthesize my blood into a chemical, put it into an IV to save my life and shock my body back into reality with adrenaline. And they did it. Memory. It's hypothetically perfect memory, but
Well, because I've realized the time, I'm going to retire from this conversation today. Thank you both so very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you also to Irenic, who came in and said a bunch of things that only helped me develop more patience. Thank you for the patience, Irenic.
Right on. Well, thank you for coming in, Richard. I appreciate it. And
Oh, thank you. Would you mind if I copied, restreamed, advertised your channel?
oh, go, please.
Thank you so much.
Right on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys have a great day. Thanks a lot, Isaac. Thanks a lot, B.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Feels gross outside.
The humid
so that's
outside?
one of the weirdest memories I have.
That is pretty trippy, man. I had to start evaluating myself when I was very young because I grew up in the hood and I was diagnosed with schizophrenia with narcissistic rage at a young age, and I was in third grade and I got in a fight with a kid, and I got in scuffles before growing up, little fist fights and this and that, things like that. But this time it was against this one kid, and I blacked out, and I when I came back into reality, I was in the bathroom, and my friend John Robles was there, and he was freaking out. He was telling me, God, Victor, you killed him. Apparently, I beat the shit out of the guy and hit his head against the ground, and I kept pummeling him until he wouldn't move. I didn't know that. He didn't die, but he got knocked out, and that happened another time in a fight. And in fifth grade, I got into a fight that I remember the beginning and the end of it, but not the middle. And I punched the shit out of the teacher, and I cut his eye open with his glasses. I got arrested for that. So I really had to start figuring out how to stop that and how to control myself and control the voices and use them to my advantage. So I actually started talking shit back to the voices,
I've done this.
and then use the ones that seem to helpingly, and have them remember things that usually I don't, things like that. So it's
That's a
really
trip.
weird. Yeah, it's a
I
trip.
went through some crazy mental stuff before.
And they had
lot
tried
of
to put me on medication. I never took the medication. Well, they had me on it when I was a kid, so I had to take it. But it just made me nothing.
Yeah. True, and I don't like what I'm on. But
What they got you on?
Abilify.
Oh no, they put me on that shit years ago. I don't know what I did with that, but
One
I heard
reason
it
my
could make your
brain's
mind
probably
race.
slow as crap, huh?
Huh?
One reason my brain's probably slow as crap now.
That's like one of the things. It's almost like a freaking might as well get a. If you're good, I don't know. It's weird. When I took it, it put me into a hyper state, like
Yeah.
anxiety, but not like
Yeah, me
scared.
too.
Huh?
Me too. Not
Yeah.
hyper anxiety. Not like It's
Not like
weird.
scared, but more just like excitable and easy to to ignite. And then they put me on Geoden, which made me feel like I was wearing a helmet on my head, and I was like slumped over. And I just got off the meds. I just started just toking weed when I can, and then when I don't have weed, I just stay
Parents
inside
won't
the
let
house.
me. It's jacked up. I'm a grown adult, and they say if you want to live here, you have to take it.
Oh, sucks. Dang.
Yeah.
Where you living at?
I'm living in my parents' house.
Oh, okay, yeah. Gotta live by the
And I had like
rules.
2 psychotic breakdowns in my life, and it's like that's enough that I need that you're gonna have me on something the rest of my life because I keep telling them like, when am I gonna go off it? When is it gonna work? And I could be free.
Yeah.
Or like, at what point can you like? What is it supposed to do? You're supposed to be hooked the rest of your life? No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, man. I
told
just maybe there's something else. Maybe if just supplement it with just daily marijuana, but that costs money. That's my problem. That costs
We
fucking
have
money.
daily marijuana.
That's expensive.
Not here,
Oh, not legal there.
California. It's hella cheap.
Oh, dude, I know. I'm from California. I grew up in San Diego. I was born in San Diego. Yeah.
Oh, dude, San Diego has the best prices right now.
Dude, when I was out there, dude, get an ounce for like fucking 65, $80.
$50.
Yeah, but unfortunately,
get the
property
right
out here is
ad.
cheap.
I have ads on my phone from when I was down there in college, and I still get them sometimes because I'll get them once a month. I'll forget to unsubscribe, but it's like I see the San Diego deals. I'm like, bro.
Oh, dude, the reader. You ever get the reader?
Yeah, I'll get a little text. Yeah, and it's like the
Like,
deals. Like
if you
at
go
the
down
bottom in
7
small letters, it's like magical mushrooms, 60 an ounce.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I used to love those texts. If you ever get the reader, like if you go to 7-Eleven and get the reader,
Yeah.
it's just a big magazine. They're free usually. You go to the back, all kinds of shit. Buy one get one. Free
I
sample.
do that in,
What's it called?
with Weed Maps
The
deals a
reader.
lot.
What's that?
Weed Maps deals,
Yeah.
same shit kind of.
But these are coupons you could clip out and take them down there and get extra on it. If they still
That's
have
cool.
it. If they still have the reader, grab it and look in the back pages. You'll find lots of places that are just opening up that are giving out free samples or double the shit. 7-Eleven gas stations usually have the reader. Yeah. Good coupon deals in there. But out here, property's super cheap. Out there, I couldn't afford, Well, I had a condo out in California, but man, that was just too much. I was making a buttload of money, but everything was just going to the condo and the bills and the cars. And plus, San Diego, I don't want to raise my kids where I grew up. That's a horrible fucking place to be, I think.
Unless, yeah, I mean, a lot of it, huh?
What's that?
A lot of it, not all of it, or what?
Well, the area I grew up in and where I was, it's not very good there. So I had to take my kids out of there. So I moved out to the Midwest and bought property out here to raise them. But unfortunately, marijuana prices are higher than shit out here, and people are dicks. And
I remember that now, I think.
I experienced so much racism out here. It made me want to, I don't know, kick some ass sometimes.
They don't. Yeah, that's weird. I wouldn't assume that.
What's that?
Be racist.
Oh, out here, man. Well, I worked for a lot of people in my life, and working out here in the Midwest. I know racism is always there. Sometimes it's funny. I like a good racist joke, and I like to tease cultures myself and make fun of others sometimes. It's just because they make fun of everybody else. It's human nature. But man, it's like you don't really experience. Well, when I was a kid, the cops look at you funny. Everybody looks at you funny when you look kind of native. But out here in the Midwest, when you look native, you got long hair, you have the high cheekbones, you got the redder skin. It's just like I experienced racism where it's like, hey, Beaner, what's Beaner? This Beaner over here kind of deal. I'm like, these motherfuckers. I got that before, but over here it's almost like a constant. That's So I cussed out some people, and I told my neighbor, he comes up, hey, Beaner. I said, I'm gonna knock your fucking ass out. He said it again, bitch. And I said it again, yeah. But if he does, I can't wait to hit him. It's been a while.
Dude, that's fuck. I'm out. Like I'm part native Oklahoma Indian, like parent.
Oh, right on. I'm a Mescalero Apache and Navajo.
Yeah, I don't. Only my uncle knows because our family hid it all away and didn't want anything to do with it at one point. And
Oh my. Mhm.
only one of our uncles knows, and he told me, but I forgot. I was drunk at a wedding.
Uh, like the weird thing is, like my mom, her mother was Navajo, and my father is a weird situation because his dad's German was originally from St. Louis, and he joined the Navy, came out to San Diego, and he bought my grandmother for $4,000, and everybody knew about it. They all know about it. And he bought her. He was like 40 something, and she was 13 years old or so, around 13, 12, 13 years old when he bought her. She'd been through mental institutions, and she died before I never met her. She died, like, went insane pretty much. And yeah, I don't have any I never met any of my grandparents. My grandfather drunk himself to death.
Same.
You know?
I only met my grandparents when I was super young, and then they were. Well, I guess I did. I just don't remember.
Mine were all dead by the time I was there.
Uh,
Yep.
yeah. Oh no, I had my grandma. That's right. I had only one basic. No,
Oh,
I
right
had
on.
two grandmas. It was only the grandpas. Yeah, they were gone. That's what it was.
I hear people talking sometimes. I was like I don't really never. I mean, I have a mom, but it's not like she never says I love you or anything like that ever, ever. You know, it's always been that cold-hearted mother. You know, the father's gone. He's an ass, was a dick. You know, so I don't know. It's like I had no parents, no grandparents.
I see.
Yeah.
My mom. I think my mom and I tell her tell each other we love her like every day. This is
I
normal.
was like
Yes.
with my family, we do it all the time. Like you do with your
Yeah.
mom. My wife and my kids all the time. I love you, love you, love you. And then it was about a year ago. My mom never says it, so I want to check it on the phone. Hey, mom, I'm checking up. Are you still alive? You know, it's been about 4 or 5 months. Just want to call and see if you're all right. Oh yeah, I'm fine. Blah 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 blah. All right, bye, mom. Love you. Bye. And she hung up, but she hesitated, and then she said it the next time, but she said it very weirdly. You know, like
She wants to. It feels awkward.
yeah, like she says it very awkwardly.
Yeah. Some people do feel that way. They're like,
Yeah.
it's a deep feeling.
Yeah, I want to discuss more with her, but that like I don't know, they just hate me. My
A
family
lot of
thinks I'm fucking
mushrooms
crazy.
allowed
Yeah.
me to like feel really comfortable with like crying or like crying positively or like stuff like that. And then yeah, all that research and like effort went away with that brain magnet place. It's weird because now I'm like I want to testify like, yo, it's possible to reach these heightened states of reality, and I didn't know it until they took it away. And like, there's hope out there for everyone else.
Right.
Like, and I still believe the mushrooms will one day help my ass. I just haven't had the connections to get my medicine. But seem
Yeah,
to be-
I
haven't
do
really
it.
looked, but I had a whole trip for like I had 3 trips that I was certain that I wanted to dedicate my life to like researching and sharing and like exposing the truth behind psychotropic medical mushrooms. And it was clear to me every time because I was reaching these heightened states of reality, and this was before the magnets, and I was doing DMT every night, and I was fine. I was happy and stable and better video game player than I've ever been. And overnight,
Right.
the magnets took it away. I went home to worship God, and I couldn't do it. My brain wouldn't let me worship God anymore. I went to play video games. My brain didn't want me to do it anymore. Wiped.
This happened after the whole coma thing and all that?
No, this is instantly after I had the magnets hooked up to my brain
Oh,
that they said it would help my memory because my memory sucks.
that's weird.
And all my superpower natural energy spark magneto fucking Professor X is gone.
They probably sucked it up with that magnet.
Dude, don't
I mean,
know.
if
There was
it's-
a grounding cable. What did they steal? Ethereal energy? Who knows?
Who knows?
Magnets, grounding cables, computers, fucking weird shit.
Right.
And I just trusted it because 2 of my cousins did it, and they were like, "Oh, we like it," but I guess they like their brain being shut off from not feeling shit.
Wow.
But it feels like an attack more than anything.
I can't imagine.
No,
I wouldn't
it's
want to
probably
go through
not, but it feels like it. feels like the corporate business knows what the hell they do.
Almost like they have the playbook already in their hands, and they're just working it.
They're like, oh, you won't notice. He'll just think the trauma's gone.
Mm.
And the brain was a superpower. It's fucking retarded, man.
Yeah, it's crazy what the brain can do.
Yeah, I didn't understand all these secrets of reality in the brain until after I start studying all this shit.
When you
I
can
would
really
have never
use
done it.
that. Yeah. I'm just kind of getting into it. I kind of just go into it once in a while and look up things. And,
Oh, it's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Once you realize what you have in your brain, it's like that substance of inner heaven that you can literally, like, it. I don't even know how to explain what I had. It was unbreakable. It was freaking beautiful. It was like undescribable.
Mm.
It's achievable. Like I did 4,500 plus hours on entheogen plant teachers or psychedelics in my whole life.
Mm.
And I feel like all that research and experience is like
Mm.
shot in the brain. So it's like, where do I start? And is it even possible to get it back? I don't know, but I'm just gonna try everything. I guess I did.
I mean, I guess if you keep focusing or just keep working it, hopefully it'll come back.
So this is doing something too.
Yeah.
Talking or flexing my brain.
Mm.
But I like seek deep conversation. I like that's something to
yeah.
make me think. I don't know that.
Yeah. Same here.
It's hard not like to talk about football or something is like my brain wants to explode. Like I see all these channels and like open panels. It's like only one subject or like only cards or like only like D&D for like 8 hours. I'm like, dude, my brain would explode.
I can't handle like redundancy like that. I get bored easily. I
One
have to
second,
jump from one
heard
thing
the
to the
door.
other.
I'm not sure.
All right.
No, it was like the neighbors doing construction.
Ah.
They've been building on this house and doing like the nice layout of tile on the whole or brick, cutting every brick in shape to make a whole driveway. And it took them months. They
That's a
did
lot
it
of
every day.
work.
Every day. I'm like, and it's fucking sick. It's just so annoying. Every day you hear construction. It's like, dude, this is a nice little neighborhood in the rural, like, not supposed to be hearing all this city stuff.
City stuff, yeah.
Like, that's why one of the reasons to be out here. Shit. I feel like I have theories, like, on the phone, the alarms, like, how you hear the trucks in the morning, like, how it sparks you, puts you into the human mindset of back on the wheel, back on the money grind.
Back in
And
this
it's
life.
like subliminal. It's all controls us. Like, they know.
Yeah, I think I labeled one of the jams I made. I think it was called when, instead of waking up, it's time to dream again. I think this is a dream, and then wherever I go, where I'm sleeping is reality. So I had a little play on that title, that song.
There's a recent video on YouTube I haven't watched yet. I've saved it. I think it said the CIA studied like the dream, and they consider it reality based on what's happening in the brain. But it goes like a 40-minute video. Or something.
Oh, because the brain could actually feel.
It's doing it, yeah.
It's actually, yeah, like feeling it the way you do in reality.
The CIA does out of body stuff too, so I'm wondering maybe it goes deeper. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I heard about the experiments they try to do and all that.
Yeah,
with mind reading and testing and.
Yeah, I have theories that if it was more successful than they're saying, I don't know that they'd want to share that information.
Why would they? That'd be like that's something you have to keep. I mean, that's like secretive warfare. If you can infiltrate your enemy's places without them even knowing it, just just by thinking about it, that's the ultimate infiltration and reconnaissance. There.
That's what I'm wondering. It's been practiced for years. Well, I don't know. I'm supposed to go to town. I'm supposed to get my dog food. Should probably just go do it.
Yeah, I gotta shut her down. Actually, I got a couple of things I should be doing. I've been sitting here for a while.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That was like me the other day. It felt like one. It was like 4 hours.
Oh, wow. I know you had a hang the other day.
Oh,
no, I didn't. Sometimes I look around for hangs. I didn't see.
Oh, yeah, it's very
random.
random.
Hang the other day. I must have been out or asleep.
Yeah. No worries. I've been back on StreamYard. I got a strike for playing worship music.
No way.
I thought it was like live. I was like, oh, it's probably fine. No.
Right? You think? They getting
Anyways,
really sticky out there with that. Yeah, I better shut her down, dude.
yeah, I'll keep going.
All right,
next
I'll catch you
time.
later, man.
Yeah.
Take care. All right. Well, thanks everybody. For no viewers out there right now, but I'll talk to you. Goodbye.